See at the line.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Come. Come in the lane. Hello. Come back on him.
That was incredible.
Nobody better. Nobody. Hell yeah, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, race fans of all ages, welcome to another wonderful, wacky Wednesday night of NWP. I am your host this week, Eric Estep, joined as always by the Iceberg, looking a little red this week. I see a shipment must have come in, Jarrett. Is that what this is?
Yeah. Christmas presents came in and they're very loud. And for once, it's not like fully my skin that's the red part of me. It's everything else.
Yes, good. Looks nice. Throwback weekend a week early. I like it. Very good.
I got plenty of throwback stuff.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll be locked and loaded for next week. We're also joined, of course, by Daniel Baldwin, aka Danny B Talks. Danny,
I'm not wearing red. It's weather's getting warmer. The fishing shirts are coming back out. So,
well, I thought of you this weekend, Danny, because I was just happened to be in downtown Fort Worth on Saturday and had no idea that the Bassmaster classic fishing tournament
biggest
convention was in
fishing
town.
tournament ever.
No idea. I stumbled into the Fort Worth Convention Center and it looked like it was like an indoor NASCAR race with all the Bass Pro Shop. Toyota was there, booths everywhere. They had a Chase Briscoe like zombie Gen 6 Bass Pro show car. Little weird, little surreal, but I thought of you. I was sad that you weren't there to experience
it. If there's
it.
anyone watching who is into tournament fishing whatsoever, I get a text from Eric. It's like a picture. Do you know who this guy is? And I look at oh, that's Kevin Van Dam. You're only looking at the goat of bass fishing right there. You're just looking at the Richard Petty equivalent right now.
I walked right past him. He had a line of people to take photos, and I was like, oh, this guy must be important. Let's see if Danny knows who he is.
Even I know who that is.
I did not know, but now I do, which is what these tournaments, these conventions are all about. We are also joined, as you can tell, by a fourth co-host. This is 2 or 3 weeks in a row with a guest panelist, guys. We are on a good win streak here. Matt, aka BrakeHard, is here on NWP. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Appreciate you guys having me on. I love to throw a Kevin Van Dam reference into videos when I can, so I appreciate the fact that you got to see him and that Danny also got to see him as well. Well, got to see him in the picture, but yeah, super cool.
If you guys can still hear me, I'm going to toss things over to Jarrett because my monitor just went black, so I can't.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, all right. We're gonna put Eric down here so you can see all of our beautiful faces.
He gets to go in timeout for a little bit.
He gets to go in timeout on his own channel. I guarantee the chat, like, there's gonna be 40 people or so within a minute. They're gonna be like, "Where's Eric? This is Eric's channel. I didn't come for these 3 bozos. Like, where is he?" And he'll be back. I mean, we can just lead right on into it, I guess. Homestead. Danny, tell me, what did you think about that finish? Because you picked Kyle Larson to win, and your favorite driver is Alex Bowman. So where were you on the confliction scale, I guess, on that one?
Well, I will just say, let me just start by saying this. Some of the Larson fans, especially those on Twitter who come out of the woodwork at me, you really need to learn how to understand a joke better. Because when I posted a picture of Alex Bowman from Chicagoland in 2019 saying, "Where did this Alex Bowman go?" I was not being serious. But anyways, I was very conflicted because I'm low-key kind of mad at Sam Mayer robbed me of a sweep this weekend, and Larson too, for that matter. But I was watching, admittedly my favorite driver in the lead, looking to win his first race of the year. And I knew it was probably in jeopardy because Kyle Larson was doing Kyle Larson things, controlling the high side of the racetrack better than anyone in the sport possibly can. And he was tracking down his teammate. I know we have a question here on our little sheet to kind of lay out the show. It says, did he choke? I'm going to just say my answer is no, not necessarily, because I don't think he was going to be able to withstand anything Kyle Larson was throwing at him. He did succumb to the pressure and he hit the wall, but I don't think he choked because he was not going to stop that 5 car from passing him.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, no, 100% agree there. And even listening to his radio, Kevin Hamlin was like, we don't want to move him up to the top yet because they were scared that he was going to spin out trying to run the top like Larson did. And you just kind of felt that when, Larson cleared Briscoe really quickly, and then he clears Bubba pretty efficiently there. As like, okay, didn't hold him up enough to kind of give Alex those extra laps he probably needed to get out and just maybe be able to hold on to it. And then the pressure, yeah, like he hit the wall. Was that pressured into it? Probably, just because he had to go up and run the wall, something he hadn't been doing throughout the latter portion of that run. But then, like Alex too, kind of hung around there long enough to maybe try to force Kyle into doing what Kyle does at the end of these races sometimes, which is run into the wall. Ultimately didn't end up happening, and he ends up finishing second. But yeah, I'm out here always championing for Alex Bowman on the internet, because he constantly is like, as you guys know, people are trying to throw him out of his ride every single year. And
he was fired like 2 years ago, apparently, according to the people online. So
yeah, Justin Haley is going to take over that car any day now. But yeah, the guy's just wildly consistent at times. And this is one of the times where he's quiet, but he's going to run really well. I just want to see him get that win again, just to kind of get that off his back. Because Chicago was a win, of course. But like there was a lot of strategy involved in that. And then it kind of was a rain shortened as well, or darkness shortened. So yeah, I wanted to see him get it done. But
I think
it's Larson.
People, especially Alex Bowman fans and really race fans in general, would like to see the Alex Bowman that we saw at Auto Club 2020, where he was just the best car, the dominant, the controlling driver all race long. Like people want to see that version of him come back, and we just haven't had a chance to see that. A lot of his wins have came off his strategy and pure luck of things happening.
Yeah, 2021, like all 4 of those wins kind of not backed into him, but was in the right spot at the right time to take advantage of it.
Well, I'll say, I think that, kind of succumbing to the pressure, I guess you could call that maybe choking. But on the other end of it, though, is if you look at Alex Bowman's history running for wins, like let's just go off the premise like that it is a choke. He doesn't usually do that. Like if you looked at his premise running for wins, he's generally the guy that's on the offensive or that's able to hold somebody off really well. I don't know how many times they finished 1-2, but I saw the stat going around like the first time that Alex Bowman finished second in the Alex Bowman Kyle Larson 1-2 finish. And I'm looking at it. He has 8 wins, and
we're losing everybody.
Apparently so.
Uh-oh.
Hang on a second, guys.
It's all good. It's all good.
About to be the Danny and Jarrett show.
It's gonna be a throwback. And by the way, Eric will be back in a few minutes. The computer restarted right when we got going. His McDonald's computer and Wi-Fi kept going. But I'm going back to Bowman.
Telling him he needs to get off that McDonald's Wi-Fi from down the street.
Going back to the Bowman side of things. Look at I just have his wins pulled up on my end. And in all honesty, like every single one of them in some way is either unique with the track or the way you won it. It's none are like the other when you look back. You got Chicago at the street course that he won with all of the shenanigans that happened with that, but he was able to survive that. The Vegas win in 2022 feels like it's so long ago that wasn't his second to last win at the moment. Yeah. The 4 wins in 2021, charging at the end, had the better car than Denny Hamlin, got into him. I actually just watched that finish recently. Of course, we all know about the Pocono one. That's where we all got introduced to Michael Maroot singing "My Heart Will Go On." Dover, Richmond, Fontana, Chicagoland Speedway. All of those races are either under different packages at different types of tracks at all of that. So like I'm kind of pigeonholing this, or not pigeonholing, forking off on this conversation a little bit to kind of go on what I was talking about Sunday night, where I'm so sick of the Bowman slander. It was fun. Listen, the so-and-so to the 48 or the 88, the meme was funny for a while, but it's been how many years? I mean, Danny, he jumped in the 88 the year we started this show, and we still have the same damn storyline, the same damn meme. Everything is exactly the same, except it's 48 instead of 88. And my question is like, who's better to put into it at this point? The guy is consistent. He's always top 10. He has most top 10s in the series.
Don't you know, Jarrett? They are supposed to, they're supposed to get rid of a younger driver still with a lot to give, and Kyle Busch is coming back to end his career there. Don't you know that?
Listen, I have full belief that Kyle Busch in non-RCR equipment that's, not Rick Ware Racing can win races still. But He's not. He doesn't have the upside, And I know you're joking, but there's people that are serious. There were people that were saying him. They were talking about Raja, which friend of the show. We love Raja. He ain't ready for Cup. He's not. Like, there's nobody in the pipeline. People are like Connor Zilic. Like, yeah, like Trackhouse didn't spend all of this money and this time on Connor Zilic this far in. Like, they didn't do. Like, there's nothing anymore that I can see that justifies it to me. And just because he finished second to Kyle Larson at Kyle Larson's best track when he was charging at the end, I don't think that's an indictment like some people are trying to say. It bothers me. I don't know why, because I'm not like you, Danny. I'm not an Alex Bowman fan with gear or anything, but it bothers me.
I mean, I don't think I bought anything new of his in, 2 years ago. Okay. But anyways, I don't. Weren't we talking about this literally last week about how he had the most top 10s, but we needed to see him get a top 5. Well, he at least did that. He at least did that for us. So he's moving a step in the right direction. I don't know, at this point, some of the tracks coming up, I got no reason to believe he won't possibly be contending for another win in the coming weeks even.
Yeah.
You got Martinsville next week for him. Good track. Darlington, similar-ish to Homestead. So you're going to have a couple good tracks for him coming up where he should definitely be in contention, hopefully.
Yeah, let's see here. Hold on a second. We got Martinsville, Darlington, Bristol, Talladega. He's won at Martinsville before. He has had good runs at Darlington. He's had decent runs at Bristol. He has come close to winning on a super speedway a few times in his career. It's just eluded him. It could come there even.
Pro Invitational winner Alex Bowman from the COVID years.
That is true. He did win that.
Good pull. And there, of course, is the other.
Garrett's going to use that when he does Alex Bowman as random driver sometime.
Which won't be this year. I've already planned the rest of the year out on that. It won't be this year, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'll pull an audible right at the end of the year. But there's the other end of the fight. We talked a lot about Bowman, but there also was Kyle Larson who came home with the win. And are we shocked? Are we so shocked?
Not to interrupt. Let's give a Eric update because he just texted us and says, guys, I'm sorry. All my tech is failing. Doing my best right now.
Jump in on your phone.
Poor guy.
Unless his phone completely failed. But are we surprised in any way that Kyle Larson ran up front, got the win at the end at Homestead? Are we surprised either that it happened or how it happened? And Matt, I'll start with you on that.
I guess I'm not surprised how it happened. Maybe I'm surprised a little bit in the fact that he was able to make up as much time as he did there at the end of the race. Because we saw, clean air was key, obviously, like it always is. And you thought that, Bubba, when he was out front, was going to be good. Then Bowman gets around. I'm like, okay. And now you're looking at Larson having to still pass 4 cars to get up to get to the lead at that point. And I guess I shouldn't doubt Kyle Larson when it comes to Homestead and making these moves, but I kind of just expected, and this is probably a fault of mine, I expect Kyle Larson to make mistakes at the end of these races sometimes. And this felt like one of those ones where he's going to have to overdrive the car in order to get back up there. And ultimately he didn't do it. And I think that's probably like the bigger takeaway from this is that Kyle Larson has kind of learned how to harness what his, abilities are. And that might be scary for the rest of the field because if he's not making those same mistakes, like that's dangerous for everybody. Kind of like he did in the truck race on Friday night where he goes and messes up, spins himself out in turn 1, still rebounded and got the win there. But doing that in the Cup Series is a lot harder. Not that he wrecked himself, but making up the time and passing quality cars is a lot more difficult. So yeah, I guess I'm not shocked by it, but slightly surprised in a sense.
And let's talk a little bit, you mentioning him doing the other races. Well, just do the math there, guys. By the time he was taking the checkered flag in the Cup Series race on Sunday, he was completing his 900th mile of racing at Homestead Miami Speedway this past weekend. Because, finished in the lead lap on everything. One on Friday night. Arguably, maybe should have won on Saturday. It's kind of funny. Those 2 races were inverted. Friday, he wasn't the dominant truck, but he had good fortune go his way. And then Saturday, he was a dominant car, but bad fortune went his way. And then Sunday, he just, did Kyle Larson things at the end.
I'm not even surprised anymore which way he does it. I know everyone's like, oh my God, he didn't lead every lap. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's Kyle Larson, though, at this point. Like, if we weren't expecting him to rip the top, do well at Homestead Miami Speedway, then, that's not Kyle Larson in that car.
Sam
I
Mayer
know.
must low-key be a Kyle Busch fan because he wanted to ensure that only one Kyle could have a 3-race sweep.
Dude, I saw so many people. This is the part that actually shocked me more than anything. I saw so many people that were praising Sam Mayer on social media. And I just remember how like 2021, 2022 it was around Larson, where like when Larson won, it was a huge deal. Like I remember I saw a bump up on any video or stream I did. Everyone was praising him. And now we've reached the level with Kyle Larson that we've reached so many times with Hendrick drivers like Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, where people are just freaking sick of seeing him win. And in all honesty, like I like that. And it's not because like I want to be just on the other end of everybody else, but more we haven't really had that person for a while. That person that like when he wins, everyone's sick of it because it happens all the time. The last time I can think of it consistently was like the members of the big three back in the day in 18, 19, 20, when Kyle Busch would win a bunch of them, when Kevin Harvick won a bunch of them. And we really haven't got that since. And maybe it's just because it makes me feel at home in my member berries back when I was a kid and Jimmy Johnson was dominating everything. And this is normalcy for me. But that was the thing that surprised me more than anything is like the full heel turn that people have on Kyle Larson now.
Yeah, honestly, that was my biggest takeaway. Just looking at my like TikTok comments from videos I posted this week, is the shift has been made where people are sick of seeing Kyle Larson win now. And honestly, I didn't think that was going to happen because I'm sure as you guys have seen, like he's super popular when you go to a racetrack. Like there's so much Kyle Larson merch there. But in terms of like overall fans, people are kind of fed up with him winning a lot, which is slightly confusing because it's not like he's dominating, not like racking. Yeah, 21, he won 10 times. Like that's a big deal. But like we're not seeing him go out there and do this kind of every single week. Now he could, like he does have fast race cars. He does win a lot, but I think people are just getting tired of like the best driver in the world talk and stuff like that, to where like that's kind of become a meme in itself now.
I think I might know a little bit kind of the best example I can boil this down to. Kyle Larson to us today is what Jimmy Johnson was when we were kids, when we were younger. And then Chase Elliott and his fan base is Dale Jr. And then Ryan Blaney and his fan base is probably a Jeff Gordon. That's the best comparison I think I can make to it. Those Gordon and Junior fan bases, I think collectively were growing so tired of Jimmy Johnson and what he was accomplishing. Just like now, I would say you've got Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney fans who are growing very tired of Kyle Larson and his fan base. It's all just a triangle of, I would say, your three most popular fan bases all going to war with each other and who seems to be doing the best.
I will say on social media, the most fun rivalry between fans is probably Elliott fans and Larson fans a lot of the time, or just Hendrick fans against each other in general, because the team is great. Like we have the points rolling on the bottom right now. And, obviously I put the winners over, and that just for the grid. But when you look at the points, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 6.
Yeah.
Is 4 of the top 6 in the points is Hendrick. And so like this week, the big talk is like, well, Alex Bowman's always been the 4th Hendrick guy, or, Byron is sometimes, or like now Chase Elliott is. And it's like, if running nearly top 5 makes you the worst at your team, you're not basically like, you're not the worst at your team. You're just like the lower end right now of the dynasty. Like,
if
and
you're
then,
still
like, that way,
if you're still a consistent top 10 like finisher, that's no reason to look to be running anyone off. You've got 4 horses out there. Only one can be the winner of a race. Only one can be the champion each season. So why are we just going to say it's necessarily a bad thing to be the 4th best of a elite team?
Yeah, that's the confusing part where you're like, all right, you're the 6th worst driver in the Cup Series. Like, oh, wow, that's terrible. But when you're the 4th worst of your teammates and they're all in the top 3, that's the, worst part looking there. But as a team, they're better than everybody else out there right now. which is always kind of the confusing part, where we're always calling for people, not us, you guys and I, but people are always calling for Bowman's job, but nobody ever calls for Chase Elliott's job. Now, he's wildly consistent. Don't get me wrong. Like last year, he had best average finish. This year, he's been pretty consistent. He could be better, but he doesn't win. Not at the clip that the 5 and the 24 are. And that's the one thing I took away from this weekend. Larson hit his 30th career win this weekend. Chase has been stuck at like 19 for what feels like ever now.
Here's the reason you're never ever going to hear for anyone saying anything about Chase Elliott's job being in jeopardy versus Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman could be, top 10 every race, and still people would probably be finding a reason to ship him off. Chase Elliott is Chase Elliott with his fan base, who is he could literally do what Dale Jr. did and run as bad as he did from late 2008 until mid to late 2011, and they would still make more money off of his merchandise sales than they ever needed to, race winnings and sponsorship wise, essentially.
Yeah. But I'd even argue this too, like, because I still think Chase Elliott will be fine this year. A lot of people are sounding the alarm bells because he's the 4th Hendrick driver. I'll just, he's not great so far by any means. I think that a lot of times stage points will kind of prop you up in this system. But still, like every race has been in the top 20. The 2 of the 3 lowest were at the super speedway. This is the first week that it was actually like not a top 10 caliber car for him. So it's like, in no way is he falling off the face of the earth. Like, because I know that we weren't comparing him obviously to like 09, 08 Dale Jr., but like people that are like wildly off base, you can tell it's been almost 20 years since that happened, because people have completely lost the plot with that. It just shows how good they are overall, which is a Hendrick Motorsports thing in general. Like other than like 2018 and 19, I can't think of a season that 2 or 3 Hendrick guys haven't dominated or raced for wins in, half of the races being in the top 2 or 3 or whatever. So I'm not worried at all about any of them. We'll talk about picks later on in the show, but we can talk about Chase Elliott being the 4th Hendrick guy, and he very well can go out there at Martinsville and just win this weekend.
Let's talk about our 4th guy on the show. He's back.
Shit, I'm now in the awkward position of having to retain hosting duties of a show I've not been a part of for the last 20 minutes. Apologies, folks. Yeah, my computer crashed 3 minutes into the show, and I got it booted back up. Nobody wants to hear this, but then trying to get my computer to remember that I have a webcam and a microphone plugged in, that was a chore. That required some unplugging, replugging. I brought out a whole other computer as a backup that also didn't work for some reason. So we're back on the main system. We're back. We're good. We're fine. I was able to listen into a lot of your conversation about Elliott and Larson. Is it time to, I don't have much else to add at this point. I don't want to drag the show down, so we can kind of move forward and progress. Do we want to talk about another top 5 finisher and Bubba Wallace?
Yeah.
Is that where we're at?
He looks solid. He looks solid out there. It was, we were expecting obviously Tyler Reddick to run up front in that, but Bubba Wallace ran, I would say, probably top 5 like the entire second half of the race. He looked like, with that final run, like if he just got away, he had the short run speed. If he was able to just get away far enough and play defense, maybe he'd be able to hold everybody off and get the win. And outside of maybe the Kansas race I've went to, because I've been at both of Bubba Wallace's wins, and both were wildly different in the stands, being at Kansas and Talladega, wildly different experiences. And other than that one race, I can't think of a race where Bubba Wallace has put himself through speed in the position to win, had nothing happen to his teammates to be the best one out there, which he clearly was. This early in the year too. And now he's sitting 36 up on the cut line already, 8th in points early in the season. And we know this is a second half team as an organization.
Yeah, what I was shocked was the fact that we weren't talking about Tyler Reddick as much as we were talking about Bubba Wallace at Homestead. I think that says a lot about how quickly this team has found their stride. Because you kind of touched on it, Jarrett. typically the 23 will string together some top 5, top 10s in the summer. And then if they win a race, it's in the fall, usually after they've already missed the playoffs. They made the crew chief change. Booty Barker out, Charles Deneke is in. And I think you hope that you could find the same spark William Byron and Rudy Fugle found. You know, they promote a guy who had a lot of truck success, put him in a good cup situation with a good young driver. And before long, Fugle and Byron are winning races and making championship fours. You know, that bar might be a little too high for Bubba Wallace and Charles this year, but you know, success with Christian Eckes last year in the 19 truck so far seems to have translated to some early speed for Bubba. I'm looking forward to Martinsville this weekend. Same tire, I think, that was run at Bowman Gray, and Bubba ran top 5 there. So really hot start for the 23 speed wise. I think I don't know if I wrote this down. I believe he has the 3rd most stage points earned of anybody right now. So even if the finishes are up and down, the speed is way ahead of where they usually are this time of year. What do you think about that, Matt?
Yeah, well, starting off with the stage point thing, somebody in my comments the other day called him a stage point merchant, and I was like, that's 100% what he has been this year.
Compliment.
But yeah, I'm happy that like he's there. We go. Well, maybe not. But I'm happy that he's running better than he was. But he's definitely come out with a lot more speed than he previously had. We're switching cameras here, guys, because that one wasn't working. But I'm happy it's coming out with
went to you.
Yeah, 100% did. It hit me earlier and then hit me again here. But yeah, I'm happy that he came out with the speed that he did. And if I'm not mistaken, Rudy Fugle and William Byron both won their first cup race together at Homestead Miami Speedway, I think, when Rudy moved up from the truck series. So
Daytona.
Was it?
Yeah, I was at that one too.
Well, Byron had the win.
Byron had the Canals win at Daytona.
Yeah, I think his first win. You're right.
That was Chad Canals, because Chad Canals has more wins than Jimmy Johnson.
I completely forgot that.
No, because Canals was out for a few of those races.
So yeah, we almost saw that sort of weird coincidence happen as well. But for Bubba to be the best 2311 racing car on speed and put himself in that position where, like you said, Eric, he didn't luck into that spot. Like he was there on merit. I think that's really good for him. Being plus 36 too is massive for that team, because they're typically clawing when late summer hits and they're trying to make it to the playoffs. So yeah, I'm pretty high on them this year, and we're going to tracks that he should be good at. In 2311 racing, I'm not sure where they have a weakness at this point, like in terms of tracks. They can
the 35 car.
Yeah. There was a NASCAR clip I saw today of Larson crossing the finish line or taking the lead or whatever it was, and I saw the 35 going down pit road, and I'm like, oh yeah, Riley Herbst was in that race this weekend.
It was a rough day.
Yeah, we all forgot about it.
Yeah. Well, and
Riley Herbst and Cup is feeling like William Sawalich and Xfinity. You got to remember they're there.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And talking about the point side of it too, and again, it's early, but we're starting to shape it up. We kind of, the last couple of weeks we've talked about it, where it's like, these kind of races 5 through about 9 or 10 is where you start really seeing it shape up. There can still be some wild swings because it's still kind of close, but look who's points wise the only ones that are in that top 16 ahead of him on the grid. Alex Bowman, who we talked about being the most consistent guy out there. Tyler Reddick, who we think is up there with Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell as one of the best elite drivers out there. And then Chase Elliott, who we talked about being way too underrated so far this year, even though he's not up to snuff with the rest of his teammates. 2 Hendrick cars and his teammate are the only ones without a win yet that are ahead of him in the points on the grid. That's an accomplishment. Like, that is high end for Bubba Wallace. And again, I want to see what he does in the second half of the year, because he's usually a second half driver.
Yeah, if his trajectory goes the same way it typically goes, like, this is a round of 8 guy, at the rate he's going, which I'm not ready to buy it just yet. Jared, do you know off the top of your head? I did not pick Bubba to make the playoffs this year. I'll own that right now. It's still early. Did anyone on our normal panel pick Bubba to make the playoffs? I hate to put you on the spot. I'm sorry. If you don't know.
Yes. Me.
You were the only one?
No, Danny also did. I just wanted to say it like that. Well, I just wanted the dramatic effects on that one.
So I just outed myself for a bad take for no reason at all, apparently. Okay. Yeah. I was hoping I would be like,
you're a Bubba Wallace hater.
Apparently so. I'm a non-believer, the biggest Bubba Wallace doubter on the internet, as we've now discovered. Well, Ryan Blaney, I want to talk about him for a moment, because he's had maybe the fastest car 2 weeks in a row, has absolutely nothing to show for it. 3 straight DNFs. 2 of those 3 have been engine failures, a rare sight to see out of the Team Penske stable. But we'll start with you on this, Danny. I mean, what are the positives Ryan Blaney can take away from the past few weeks?
That as long as his engine's going to make it, they're giving him good cars consistently. I mean, I don't think there's anything he can necessarily be worried about. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate it didn't finish, but he's been up there. He's been contending in like every race for the last few weeks. I mean, it's not going to always end bad, right?
Yeah, law of averages will eventually catch up with him. What say you, Matt?
Yeah, no, I kind of have the same feeling Dan does. They can't all end badly, and that's sort of what he said over the radio, where he's like, sorry, fellas, eventually we'll finish one of these races. Yeah, it has to be like disheartening, and I'm sure people that listen to like DBC have heard the like person talk about throwing the toaster into the bathtub, and I'm sure like all of his fans definitely feel like that right now. But you had to be encouraged by the speed that they're bringing, but at the same time, that what organizations led like 500 laps this year, something
lot.
like that. Yeah, and they have nothing to show for it. Like Logano doesn't even have a top 10, so clearly something's missing there when it comes to finishing these races. But they've got a ton of speed.
Yeah, it's encouraging to see the speed at the intermediates too, especially like how many cars he passed at Vegas and Homestead. We know he's a good short flat guy. The Penske cars are always great at that style of track, but what we've seen the last 2 weeks, that's new. That's not typically the Blaney way. Sorry, what were you going to say, Jarrett?
No, I'm not like in any way really worried, just because, we've kind of seen, even with the way that things are lined up now with playoffs rules, all that regular season wise, one thing that still remained true is unless there's some fatal flaw with your team in some way, like you are fast at some places and terrible everywhere else, if you bring in the speed every week, like that 12 team is, you're going to be just fine. They're going to have DNFs here and there. I think they've had 3 in a row now, which is probably exacerbating the problem. But they're bringing cars that are top 10, top 5 every week, getting caught up in an accident or some engine issues here and there. They're still getting plenty of stage points too. I'd say Penske as an organization fits the stage point merchant variation very well, but Blaney's the one that's shown up with the speed with it. And I think that the law averages over time is you can only have so many problems with the fast car so many times before it finally works out. I fell into this trap last year of worrying about him and being like, I don't know. And then he won the week after I was like, oh, I'm worried about him. Then he goes out and wins. I'm not falling into that trap again. Unless there's like 15 different winners, I think he'll be just fine, honestly.
I mean, just going into this weekend, look at what he did at Martinsville last year. He had, between the 2 races, he had an average finish a third, between spring and fall. He's going to be one of our picks to win this weekend. I don't know who's going to get him, but one of us will pick him. I already know.
Yeah, he's going to be a high draft pick. I think the speed is there. That's most important. You just hate to leave playoff points on the table. This is a team that expects to make the championship 4. And I mean, he could have had more stage wins. He could have had a race win or 2 the last couple of weeks. And that's a lot of playoff points you don't get back. And they go to your rivals. Larson picks them up instead, or Josh Berry, only Penske car with a win so far this year. Surprising to say the least.
Think about that.
Homestead Miami Speedway put on another solid show this weekend, as it typically does. But there have been rumors constantly swirling around 2026. It was removed from the playoffs, moved up to the spring this year. I think you talked about on the show, Jarrett, that maybe that was, in preparation of some renovations between now and next year's finale. Give them some extra time to prepare. It sounds like in some ways that was the plan, and then plans fell apart at the last minute. A budget didn't pass, or the city didn't come to some sort of agreement that everyone expected them to. Reports indicate they were going to announce something this week. Hey, Homestead 2026 finale. And then last minute, they pulled the plug. Hopefully they can plug that thing back in and we do get a Homestead 2026 finale. At least that's my take. But Jarrett, do you feel differently? Would you be excited about a Homestead championship race in 1 year?
Okay, to answer your second question, yes, because at the moment, tentatively, the finale would be on my birthday, and I would make an effort to go to Homestead. I won't for Phoenix. I want to enjoy my birthday.
I'm
in
kind of the
person.
same way. I don't really necessarily want to go to Phoenix for a championship weekend. I'd rather go back to Homestead for a championship.
Whereas, like, do I think it will? I honestly think it will. I mean, it sounds like everyone's pretty positive about it. I mean, Jordan Bianchi did the majority of the reporting on a lot of this stuff, and even he said after the race that he's pretty sure it's going to happen. They just need to iron out a few more things. I know it's 70-30 is the number being thrown around. I think it's not as much the question about Homestead with that as the is Homestead. You know, the big question is Homestead. Why does it deserve the finale other than the racing part? Like, because it really doesn't, obviously, when it doesn't have the finale, it doesn't bring in people in the grandstands. I don't care what anyone said. Everyone's like, oh, it had a great crowd for Homestead standards. I'm like, it had like 17,000 people there. Like, it was not good. It was half full being generous.
I think there's always a uniqueness. You know, you waited all year to finally go to this one track, and it's meant just to determine your champion.
I get that, but there's so many other tracks that we go to once a year now that are unique. And so it's like
Pocono finale.
I mean,
sorry.
Weather has a lot to do with it, and Pocono would be terrible that time of year.
Slide away, baby. So it's like, I think it should, honestly, and I think it deserves to for the racing product on its own, but it doesn't really draw people in person. Ratings wise, it's nothing special. It's a normal NASCAR race outside of the finale. If anything, the finale in NASCAR is propping up Homestead, which I think is why the city of Homestead and the county of Miami-Dade is pushing so hard for it, because it actually does bring in a lot. Whereas there's so many other places. I mean, we'll talk about it later too, in more detail, but like the rumor of 2027 going to Las Vegas, like Las Vegas brings something to the table one way or another. Homestead's out in the middle of the boonies and really doesn't. And that's just the cold, hard truth of it. And so that's why I'm like, there has to be a back and forth of like, Homestead has to bring something other than the racing to it, because that's just the way that marketing the sport and sports in general is now. You have to have both sides bringing stuff. And that's like the only question I have about Homestead left is like, if they have these renovations, will they make a real difference, at least in person, for people?
Yeah, because that's the one thing Phoenix does well. And I've been on this show. I've been probably the strongest Phoenix defender. And even I will admit that Homestead Miami Speedway is a better race than Phoenix is 9 times out of 10. And I think that should be the most important factor when deciding the championship. But all the questions, Jarrett, you just raised about Homestead, Phoenix has already answered. They sell out every fall, renovated facility, close to a big market, a less crowded market, you could argue. There's no F1 race in Arizona. And the city reportedly pays millions of dollars to NASCAR to host the event. So they have all let me put it this way. Phoenix has all the intangibles, although they are actual tangible. There's money. Whereas Homestead has the tangible, which is the better racing product. So you're kind of, I think they should both be part of a future rotation. That's the way I would say it. I think Phoenix has a place on a championship rotation, as does Homestead, as does a Las Vegas. We can argue Kansas. We can argue Darlington probably doesn't line up with the time of year, but there's, we can argue Charlotte. We can make some arguments of other tracks that should be on that rotation, but everything you said Homestead does bad, Phoenix does good, and everything Phoenix does bad, Homestead does good. So that's why it's like, I do think they both have a place. I hope Homestead gets it next year. What do you guys think?
I was thinking sports culture wise, like Arizona fans, like, what do they have really to look forward to at the start of November if the Diamondbacks don't make it far? Like, the Cardinals are statistically the worst football team in NFL history, like, that are around right now. Yikes. There's nothing really else going on. That's that
a lot of people play golf around that time of year. I think golf is pretty popular.
It's Minnesota's retirement home. Like,
it's the same. People are
like, the snowbirds will come down.
You asked what they're doing.
Oddly enough, I'm considering going to Phoenix area to Arizona for my 30th birthday in September, but it's not going to be NASCAR time or anything, and I'm going to probably go on a fishing trip out in the desert and a train ride while I'm out there. I ain't going there for any sports. There's not much sports out there, is there?
Kevin Durant's playing. Not in September. You got KD and Devin Booker. Although they're underachieving.
Are good.
Yeah.
Like, that might be. Damn, we're going to the start of September, man. Oh,
I think Aren't the Diamondbacks aren't they trying to run the Diamondbacks out of town? Isn't that a conflict there? Maybe I misread something.
You know, oddly enough, Jared, hearing you say that, I looked up the average temperature for that region in September. It's not as bad as you think. It's only, like average temp of like 90 highs. So
Oh,
It's a dry heat.
It was over 100 degrees on one of the days in early September in Tennessee. Like the average does not mean that's every day. Godspeed, Spider-Man.
Matt, what do you think happens to Homestead? Do you think they land next year's championship? What does your gut say?
I think they land next year for sure. Like, not for sure, but I think that's kind of the trend that we're going to right there. My thing with Homestead is when you look at it, you brought up a good point. Like, it's not close. Homestead's biggest flaw is the fact that it's in Homestead. That's not Miami. Like, we're adding Miami on because everyone's like, where the heck is Homestead at? Like, that's the reason why we have that on there. If it was closer to Miami, it would be the championship race and it probably never would have left. And when you look at it, what scares me about Homestead, what it has going for itself right now is it's in a warm weather climate, and it allows NASCAR to have an early season race in a warm weather climate. If they weren't warm, I think it meets the same fate as Chicago does, because they'd be like, well, we can just move this date somewhere else and not have to worry about it. Racing's good, but amenity wise, it's not that good. Chicago racing's good. It's just in the middle. It's in Joliet. Like, it's not Chicago. And I think the same thing happens with Homestead. And I think the internet would just lose its mind. Like, if they just got rid of Homestead. So I think it gets it in 26, but
it is limited to an extent season wise. Like, yes, with Chicagoland, we could only really go there and certain points of the year. But also you can say the same thing for Homestead here, because this past weekend, we were very concerned about wildfires to start. Oddly dry season for Florida standards.
Yeah.
It's funny, last week I was praising, that's great weather for Florida standards. Didn't realize, it's supposed to be raining down there. Actually, that's not that good. Thankfully, the fires was able to get under control. Didn't have to worry about that or nothing. But you're going to get to a point where it's going to get just we're talking about the Arizona heat. It gets insanely hot and humid. No one wants to go down to the thumbnail tip of Florida at certain points of the year. So you're really only limited to this season we had it at, or towards the end of the season to really want to go all the way down there.
Just the tip. No one wants to go just to the tip.
Mm-hmm. I hope Homestead gets a shot at the championship once again, just because it's such a great blend of driver skill, having to stay focused, ride the wall, get the most out of the car. You can tell the driver makes a difference. Just look at AJ Allmendinger. Every year he's top 10. We all know Kaulig Racing is not bringing top 10 cars every year. That's AJ Allmendinger carrying. It tests the setup, the engineers. We saw with Blaney, it tests the engine tuners. Like it tests everything that you want a championship race to test. So I hope they get a shot at that date once again, whatever the format may turn out to be. Let's talk about TV ratings, folks, and then we'll move on. Ratings were kind of a hot topic this week, not just across NASCAR, but we'll get to that in a moment. Excuse me. The Cup race earned 2.46 million viewers on FS1. That's a 5% increase over what FS1 averaged for the entirety of 2024. So it's hard to compare to last year, although the playoff race last year was actually 3% lower in viewership than the cable race this weekend, which is crazy. It just goes to show you, one, how interest wanes late in the year. Some of that could be playoffs. Some of that's certainly the NFL. Just an interesting number. The Xfinity Series race continued its surge, had 1.16 million viewers on the CW, which is up 46% from the same race 1 year ago. They are averaging almost 1.3 million viewers per race so far this year. That's a 30% year-over-year increase for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Truck Series finally got some good ratings. 900,000 viewers tuned in Friday night. I think, what was it, a week ago, they were in the 300,000 or 400,000s thanks to the rain delays. Bad couple of weeks for trucks. Nice resurgence there. But real quick, before we get into the famous iceberg poll, the pecking order of motorsports viewership this week went Cup, Xfinity, Trucks, Formula One at 3:00 in the morning on the Eastern Seaboard, IndyCar on network television, head-to-head with the NASCAR Cup Series. Guys, what is Fox doing, pitting the two biggest American motorsports against each other when they own the rights to both? What are they doing?
See, part of that is scheduling conflict, because Eric, you were talking about the Bassmaster Classic being there in Fort Worth, they had already worked out a deal that they got to be on Big Fox from 12 to 3. IndyCar had to take the time slot immediately after them, and FS1 obviously, wasn't going to be where
You're
they're
telling me
looking
the
to put that.
Bassmaster Classic was the pin in this whole thing? I had no
I mean,
idea.
I would say so. That had something to do with it for sure.
I would have talked to someone while I was there. Oh, man, I would have missed
Well,
opportunity.
this isn't going to be the only time either. I mean, yeah, it's not exactly the same start time, but an hour and a half into the Bristol race in a few weeks is when Long Beach is going to go green for IndyCar. I think that for me is maybe this will be something that's ironed out over time, but to me, this is just Fox Sports not giving a damn. They don't have to do the production for IndyCar. They obviously don't care about the NASCAR coverage by how they act, how they produce it, how they promote it, or lack thereof on any of it. They don't care. They're just going to throw it where it is and they'll let it go. And in the end, we ended up having NASCAR on Fox for a stage because of what happened in Thermal, which wasn't Fox's fault, actually. And it's not me saying that. Like, David said the same thing, and he dug into it even more than I ever could. But I'm not surprised. Like, when Fox Sports starts caring about motorsports again, hell will freeze over and ESPN will want NASCAR back.
I just don't get it because they're spending a crap ton of money on the NASCAR rights. You'd think they would care a little more about where and when they show these things. I don't know.
NASCAR fans are always going to come in. I think that's their thinking.
We're
a loyal bunch.
Yeah.
I personally, as much as I love bass fishing too, I was so mad that they didn't have that on in the morning time when honestly it's better fishing. And then they made you wait till the day's almost over. And I think that would have been a better time slot for IndyCar to be having their race at that time just to get that took care of. I mean, it seems like it should have been easier.
It's just frustrating when you have a race in Florida way over here and a race in California where 3-hour time difference and they go green in the same moment. Would
it make you guys happier if we saw it work like, okay, IndyCar comes on first and then NASCAR scheduled to be on immediately following their race. If their race has any kind of delays, it could delay, we could come into the race having already started for NASCAR.
I got a question. Was there a basketball game on FS1 Sunday night?
I don't think so.
I think all of unless it was NBA, like all the college stuff has been mainly other people.
Well, so my point's this. So, because I looked up the most recent, at least that the AI gave me of the most recent ratings for the Bassmaster Classic over a 2-day span are like nearly 5 million viewers, right? Okay. We don't need to go further into that. We get that Fox is going to promote the one that gets a bigger audience. Okay. So IndyCar at Thermal, I'm assuming they're not going to be able to race at night. I have not looked into it enough because I just frankly don't care about Thermal enough to look into it.
Bob was there. We'll ask him.
Yeah, we'll ask Bob if he has lights. Okay, so there's nothing going on at night. We are in South Florida on FS1 with nothing conflicting whatsoever. Why the hell are we not doing a Sunday night race on cable when there's it's not like we're going against football or basketball. I get if it's later in the year or something like that, but hell, later in the year on USA Network, the Las Vegas Cup race is a night race against Sunday Night Football because we can fit it there. Why isn't it this one? Because we've seen before Sunday nights bring in more people because you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do as much. Why are we pitting stuff against each other? Why would you spend all this freaking money and time on all the promotion for IndyCar to nuke them right off the bat? I don't get it.
I agree with Snappy perfectly too. Stop making sense.
Timothy in the chat says, but Jarrett, we've got the UFL.
I think
has it started yet? Does it start soon?
It's Friday night.
Oh gosh.
I think the biggest fear this week was the fact that going on a Sunday night race, they would have gone up against the NCAA tournament on Sunday night, and that game drew like 9 million viewers, I think is what I saw on Sports Media Watch. So you're looking at a pretty sizable audience there that's going to be watching basketball. It's frustrating though, because you can't start the IndyCar race earlier. Because if you're like, oh, it started at noon. That's a 9 a.m. start time at Thermal. Keep in mind, there's no fans there. So there's that aspect of it, or there's 400. So it doesn't matter. Or you should just run it after the cup race and then let them go head to head against the basketball stuff. If you start that race at 6 p.m. or 7, okay, you're looking at a 3 or 4 o'clock start time. and maybe it's better, but 704,000 viewers, I think, is what they got. That's really bad.
It's just really frustrating that there's a couple more instances this year where Fox will pit their two top motorsports head to head. It just seems there has to be a better way, but
Napa Racing fan. MLS and pickleball are on main Fox this week
well, yeah.
at the same time as the Martinsville race. So,
Well, again, they know NASCAR fans are loyal. They want them paying for cable. They're not putting every race on free over the air TV.
and that's not Fox. That's not Fox's fault. That's NASCAR's fault. They took the money and ran.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
IndyCar took the exposure. Like
Yeah,
I
no,
would go
100%.
over that every week because it's true. Like that I
Yeah.
won't even put that on Fox.
No, I wouldn't either. I absolutely the NASCAR chased the money because the teams wanted the money. I mean, the purse this week for Martinsville is like $3 million, $4 million more than it was last year for the Cup race. So, I mean, that's thanks to FS1. Let's look at the famous iceberg poll real quick. Jarrett asked our lovely viewing audience whether or not the Martinsville Cup Series race was the Homestead Cup Series race was a good race. 20% of those who voted said it was a great race. As a matter of fact, 60% said Homestead was good. 16% sat on the fence, said it was average. 4% said it was a bad race. That is an 80% positivity for Homestead Miami Speedway. Jarrett, do you have a few comments that stood out to you that you want to spotlight?
Yeah, I got a few comments. I got the first comment and I have 3 gutter comments. First off, I do want to say with an 80% approval rating, that race is the 3rd highest voted since we started doing this in 2019.
At Homestead or just ever?
At Homestead, I should say.
Okay,
Sorry.
I was going to say, we've had some high ones. Okay.
So 3rd of 7, all but 1 has been 68% or higher. We were actually, the 3 of us hosts were at the race that was lower, that was 24% positive, that being 2019's finale.
Wow, I don't remember people hating it. I know Kyle Busch won, but
I guess that was still peak time to dislike Kyle Busch, I guess.
Yeah, I remember people like hating it and getting on me for being positive after the fact. So I just I didn't realize it was that bad till I looked back. The first comment comes from Isaac, who says, I hate to beat on a dead horse, but holy crap, Fox, can you be bothered to have any direction? You're making the guy who made Snow White in 2025 and the Amazing Spider-Man films look like Steven Spielberg.
What a comparison.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, did we talk about on the show that Artie Kempner is either leaving or has left Fox? So I mean, they're maybe floundering a bit for a period here.
Hey, you know what? The broadcast from Thermal might have went down, but it still at least will end up being a profit for IndyCar. So that part at least did better than Snow White will. Looking at some of the other comments here, I have so many pieces of paper. First one here from Mitch Collins saying passing was rough, but man, I love seeing these guys rip the fence. That was a talking point I saw during my stream during the race. Is like the teams have caught up to the car, I think, at the 1.5 miles at this point a little bit more. It's not terrible, but passing is definitely getting tougher at these tracks the last couple weeks. Interesting note. Grizzly here says, made me want this track back for the championship even more. Silas says, fun fact, this is the first time Larson has beaten Bowman in a 1-2 finish between them. Hammer Down says he's just a hack. I think we know who he's talking about. Nate here says it was a grim watch for a Trackhouse fan. Yeah, the amount of people that are acting like Trackhouse is like Rick Ware Racing now is kind of funny. Like they're not 2022 Trackhouse, but
well, I mean, I will say this: I didn't expect SVG to be very good at the ovals. He's been worse than I thought he'd be.
Oh, he's awful.
Yeah.
He was
If he
racing
doesn't-
everywhere. Like
Yeah.
And I don't know if things just don't go perfect for him at the road courses, like I might not look like a idiot for having him off my playoff grid after all.
Danny's playoff bracket looking really good on March 26, 2025.
That's right. Except we all have Ty Gibbs, so we might be screwed.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
And none of us had.
But you know what? Just one random good race, and he's all took care of.
Yeah. The Michigan man says Mike Joy and Kevin Harvick need to go. I'm surprised Clint wasn't involved.
Yeah, I'm surprised Boyer was omitted from their
weirdly,
bloodbath.
that's a big sentiment that like a lot of my followers have been saying in the comments. They're like, get rid of Harvick and Joy, but Boyer is like their golden child, which I'm at times confused by, because I think Boyer does a lot more talking over than the other two, and Kevin at least gives decent feedback. He might not be the most colorful guy in the world, but I think the information he gives is good. But yeah, there's this weird sentiment amongst the fans that has shifted to where Clint's fine, and now Mike Joy and Kevin Harvick.
I think what it is deep down is we need that DW character still, and he's him for now.
He's the
I say
closest
clean
thing we
house.
have. Yeah, I think more the move the last couple weeks I've seen is they all need to go. Mike Joy's, he just things will just evaporate from his mind. He'll slip up on words constantly. Harvick, great analyst, no stage presence, and Boyer, half the time he's not listening to what the other guys are saying. Like that every week, there's a moment where it's clear he did not hear what Harvick or Joy just said to him, and it's
because he says the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Like I've started, if I didn't have to go live afterwards, I would make it a drinking game. Every time Boyer repeats exactly what Kevin Harvick or Mike Joy just said, or Larry McReynolds, and it's clear as day that like he needs to take his ADHD meds, like at some point I would be plastered. I'm so glad I have to do something after the race, because it stops me from doing stupid things like that.
Yeah.
Melodies here says aero blocking is making for pretty boring racing again, even on 1.5 miles. That's towards the bottom here. We got our 3 gutter comments, the 3 lowest voted comments
hit me
of the week. Royal Pup Honey says, was the worst race I've ever seen. This is the worst weekend of racing I've ever seen.
Phoenix.
Yeah, I can see why they're downvoted.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm glad it was downvoted then. Some sense, finally.
By the way, it popped back on, but if I disappear, it's because my Wi-Fi went out. My internet completely went out and then popped back on. So
would y'all please get off the McDonald's Wi-Fi? I mean,
mine's
Danny,
normal. I think it was. I think
you're
it's
holding
we
down
had
the
to
fort
redo
for
it.
us, Danny.
I think we had to reset it yesterday. So I think
the only one with a hardwire connection going into the computer, apparently.
No, I hardwired in just for this.
Yeah,
this is an important occasion.
Yvonne here says below average race, not entertaining. Both Cup and Xfinity were not good. Fix it, NASCAR. You're losing fans.
Oof. I'm with them that the Xfinity race was stunk up by Larson. We'll talk about in a few minutes, but the Cup race was fine. Good.
Yeah. And then David here says this race shows favoritism to Chevy. NASCAR is sabotaging Ford. The clown show continues. That was the lowest voted comment.
I just love the idea that like Jim France slipped something underneath Blaney's hood just to ensure beep beep.
That was the poll.
There we go. The famous iceberg poll. Thank you all for leaving your comments and voting every single week. Be sure to subscribe to the iceberg so that you see said poll immediately following the checkered flag every Sunday. I'm going to go slightly out of order, folks, because we did just we're about to hit the 1 hour mark. I want to get to a few super chats before we dive into the Truck and Xfinity Series races. If y'all don't mind, give me just a couple minutes. First off, I want to say a huge thank you to the almost 750 people who are currently tuned in. Really do appreciate you guys spending our Wednesday night with us. And we really appreciate those who go above and beyond to show us some support. Starting with Isaac V24 said right before the show, on my work lunch break, just wanted to say thank you all so much for building the online NASCAR community and giving us all a platform to meet other fans. That was very kind. I wanted to make sure we spotlighted that first and foremost. Isaac, we always appreciate seeing you in the comment section pretty much every single week. So yeah, great to hear that. That's awesome. Napa Racing Fan says that the Elliott Universe throwback scheme is great, but nothing will ever top the Stenhouse Tide Craven throwback scheme from 2021. Yeah, that was
an all-timer.
I was like, which homage was more offensive? That we could put that up to
Stenhouse is worse.
Yeah, Stenhouse.
That's probably it was literally half-assed because half the car wasn't even a Tide car. A couple here from Indy Carson 2025 first says, hey NWP, mystery driver game needs to ask 5 questions because we're your audience. Don't rush Iceberg's work guessing the right driver. Example, Eric was way too fast with his answer last week. Apparently I need to be nerfed because I'm too good at the random driver game. Believe me, Indy Carson, that was a one and done. That will never happen.
It still makes me mad that I've had a feeling that's who it was and I just didn't say anything.
Also says, in my opinion, nobody in NWP points is allowed to pick the same driver for all 3 series that weekend. Danny B at Miami. That includes Chad as well. He didn't like Danny having the getting the chance
Well,
to
there's
pick
nothing
Larson
wrong
all
with
year.
that.
If we've learned anything the last few years or ever from NASCARs, we don't need to just muck up and make stuff needlessly complex.
Yeah, right now our point system
How
is built
often
for
is the
parity.
same driver actually in all 3 races?
It'll happen again in a few weeks. I think I know
Yep.
whoever has the number 1 pick in like 3 weeks is going Larson 1, 2, 3 once again. Maybe we'll bring a guest on. Maybe Matt can come back and can swipe that pick right out from under us, and it would be. I mean, Jet had the chance last week and didn't take it. Anyway,
He just gave it to me. We'll talk about how that shaped out the points later. But
yes, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Couple more I want to do real quick here. Napa Racing fan gave us a $2 super chat and said, "Here's $2 for a beloved Martinsville hot dog," which is very nice. Very nice. Scrapyard, very generous, said, "Hey, so do you have any throwback schemes you'd like to see that haven't been done yet? Considering he runs the 41, I'd love to see Cole Custer throw it back to Daytona, USA, and run a scheme based on the Hornet from that game."
Oh.
I do like seeing fictional schemes. Oh, fictional scheme I'd love to see. I don't know which car would run it because there's no 82 car. I want to see the Cheetos Trip Murphy Herbie fully loaded scheme on a real stock car. I would love to see
just for the reaction. I want to see Kyle Busch in that clad red 8 car.
that.
I'm a Junior fan saying this. I want to see it.
He says this decked out in classic Budweiser merch.
I'm an all Dale Jr. Like I have the loudest Dale Jr. shirt I could possibly wear.
the sponsor don't even have to make sense. They don't have to put a design on it. It could just be solid red, no design.
It'd just be a test car.
I spoke Jet's name earlier, and he immediately shows up in the chat. Hope you're doing well, Jet. You missed an opportunity to swipe Larson from Danny last week. Just gonna throw that out there. he played way too friendly. He was way too friendly for this show. I would have been ruthless.
And like he was just straight up going into like, I'm not gonna pick Kyle Larson. It's like
I was
okay.
practically begging him to pick Larson during it. I'm like, dude, you have him. Do it once.
I'll do just 3 more quick super chats here. SW says Hamlin and Byron's throwback. Let them cook. Elliot's throwback. Graphic design is my passion. Fair enough.
Might as well use Comic Sans.
And then lastly here from Logan King, something you guys may know, why don't NASCARs, they said it, not me, have speedometers? Is it a teams prefer RPM lights thing or NASCAR doesn't allow it thing? I assume NASCAR would allow them to put a traditional speedometer in the car, but I think RPMs is probably more accurate for tracking pit road speed. That would be my assumption. It's more exact, but I don't know. I actually don't know. That'd be a great question for a driver or a crew chief. Actually, that's an interesting question there, Logan. And before we wrap up their first super chat stage break, Hunter Nixon Fishing every week has been very generous this season supporting the show. Really do appreciate that. He left a nice big old super chat and said, one day Kyle Larson will figure out how to run the wall at Martinsville and make it work, which I think that is very funny. He'll just have to learn from Ross Chastain. Ross proved it can be done. So Hunter Nixon Fishing, really do appreciate that. Always appreciate you guys' support. Let's talk about the Xfinity Series race real quick. It was pretty simple. Kyle Larson dominated, had a 14, 15, 16 second lead until Taylor Gray spun out in the closing laps, leading to a restart. I'll ask you this, Jarrett. Was that final restart fair or foul? Larson was obviously not happy with Sam Mayer, but do you think Sam Mayer did anything egregious?
No, he's inexperienced and aggressive. Like I don't think it's anything more than that. I've seen so many times where a driver leads a bunch of laps and ends up not winning. I want to say under different circumstances, I think it was 2015 that Brad Keselowski led all but 22 laps in a 500-mile cup race at Texas and didn't win. I get he got beat by Jimmy Johnson, but and that was just a normal run to the finish for the most part, but I don't see anything wrong with it. I think there were 2 like camps on this. There was the hooray, we don't have to hear about the best driver in the world sweeping that everybody was all upset about. And on the other half, there's those being like, we just lost this awesome storyline because Sam Mayer couldn't push correctly. And this is NASCAR. This is normal. Where this is something you're not going to get rid of. You know, I know Eric, you had kind of pondered the idea of doing the short track route of it, of like we just do a redo.
Which I don't know how realistic that is. That opens up a whole new can of worms. But
I don't think so. Like I just don't think that's an option.
I'll just chime in. I don't like that the control car didn't get to launch first. Like he didn't wait until he waited. He didn't go at the first line, which is his right as the control car. If he waits until the second line and is still dilly-dallying, Mayer, Austin Hill, whoever's on the outside has every right to gun it and go. But Kyle Larson was still in the first half of the restart zone when Mayer gassed it up and drove through the back of him. Like if that happens, I almost think it should be a penalty, one for the car who gassed it up early, same as if you beat the leader to the line. Or if not a penalty, I feel like something that egregious, NASCAR should consider, whoop, pause. Guys, I saw what you did there. Control car restarts the race, run it back. Again, I understand if it's a fuel mileage race or a road course with long pace laps, opens up a whole new can of worms. I get it, but it's something I feel should be explored, because that was the only thing that rang hollow to me was Larson didn't spin the tires. They were halfway into the restart zone when Sam Mayer jacked his rear tires up off the ground. The control car should get to restart the race, and Larson was never given that opportunity, which is kind of a bummer. It was completely out of his control, in my opinion. But I don't know, maybe the rest of y'all see that a little differently.
No, I mean, you're right. Larson never got the opportunity to. And one of the complaints I hated after this race was people being like, well, he waited too far into the box. And it's like, well, it's his right to do it. I mean, he's the control car. He can wait as long as he wants until the end of that box. And then if we get outside the restart zone, then yeah, it's fair game at that. Yeah, Mayer laid back too hard. And he admitted it after the race too there. One thing I want to go back to, Eric, is you mentioned that people were mad that like Larson kind of stunk up the show, like led by 16 seconds, was dominating this race. 2017, Cole Custer went out there and led 182 of 200 laps at Homestead in this Xfinity race, won by 15 seconds. And everybody was like, oh, it's a really good drive by Cole Custer because it's been regular. And it's like, okay, well, I get the Larson being a cup guy thing, but we have seen this happen before. And back then, everybody just accepted it. So yeah, that part was a little frustrating, but yeah, dominant car of the day. It's annoying when you don't see the dominant car win, but you know, people want to see a green, white checker finish. So they got it, and then they were upset about it as well.
Yeah, it's like I know some fans do, but it's not even hate seeing the dominant car lose. It's that it felt like it was unfairly taken from him to some degree. Like what Mayer did isn't against the rules, obviously, but I'm saying is like maybe it kind of should be. Like maybe that's something with NASCAR should look into officiating so that we don't have races decide. Like when Justin Allgaier dominated Phoenix, was running away with that race a few weeks ago, that also came down to a late race restart. And I don't remember who was on the outside of him in that moment. They just got a better launch and beat him through turns 1 and 2. Allgaier, if I recall, kind of got tight, slipped up. Like it sucks to lose a race that way because he was running away with it, and lose it on a final restart. That's a shame. But like it's at least he was fully in control of his car at all times. You know what I'm saying? And Larson, that was the disparity there. Is I just felt like he never was really given a shot because the rules are able to be exploited, and that's what Mayer did.
That's racing. Sometimes people screw up. I mean, that's the thing. That this kind of stuff was kind of just normal for a long time in racing. Is just we forget how good these guys are until they, and then we, forget that they're still human and make mistakes. I think micromanaging restarts, we kind of did that when the restart box was put in already. If it becomes a problem, sure, we can kind of explore it. But like, if this was just, I don't know, this is Austin Hill and he led 12 laps on the day, like we're not having this conversation. It's because it's Kyle Larson. It's because he led all those laps. And maybe this is also on my end. Maybe I'm biased the way I was with the Bowman deal, where I'm like, I don't really have as much lenience for the cup guys. Like, okay, they got screwed over. Like, so be it. I don't care.
I'm just trying to be objective, and I think no matter who it was in that instance, if somebody else basically takes over as the control car when it's not their right, I just feel like that's something that should be explored going forward. But you're right. Maybe it's probably being brought up because if Larson wins that race, the storyline of 3 in a row, sweeping the weekend was still alive, and that storyline was taken from us. So I'll admit that I'm probably a little biased because I've admitted on this show, I root for storylines. Larson going for 3, that's a storyline, and it was taken from us by kind of a wonky restart. But Justin Allgaier, this is somewhat poetic, after losing Phoenix in heartbreaking fashion, gets the win here at Homestead that, kind of backed into it. But I mean, I guess that's racing. Over time, you just hope that things average out. What'd you think of that, Danny?
Yeah. Again, I was just more bummed that my pick didn't win, but
mine did.
It was unfortunate. I think Justin Allgaier was saying like his family wasn't there, and it's never fun to not have your family there when you get the win, but it's good for him to get the win because you expect him, coming off his championship. Okay, we had a little bit of fun at Daytona. We really got to get this season going on the right direction though, because I'm sure he'd like to, maybe have a chance to repeat his championship this year. But now the win's there, and looking forward to see what happens next for Justin Allgaier at this point. And also he knocked out the Dash for Cash this weekend too. So I think we'll have that again this weekend, won't we?
I think so. Yeah, I believe you're right. And Allgaier's the first Xfinity driver to multiple wins. He's the points leader. I mean, hot start for Justin Allgaier. Talking about championship defense, going pretty well. But we can move on. The Truck Series race also was interesting. I know the Kyle Larson conversation must continue, but he rallied late after a spin to get the victory. Again, I'm a bit biased here. I'm a big Corey Heim fan. I want to talk about Corey for a moment because Corey Heim was the driver of the race. If this was Formula One, he's driver of the day. Dominated that race. Great truck, great performance by him. If that truck doesn't revolt on him in the closing laps, shutting off, costing him valuable seconds, he wins that race going away. A race that had multiple Cup Series drivers in the field. Chastain threw shots at him. Larson threw shots at him. But when it all settled out, Corey Heim was picture perfect all night, until the mechanical gremlins got him. That was my biggest takeaway from the race. Matt, I don't know if you want to add on to that or if you want to talk Larson, but that was my take. I know Larson got the win, but my takeaway was, God damn, Corey Heim is so freaking good, man. When is he going to get a full-time promotion?
That's what I tweeted out during the race with like the screaming emoji of put Corey Heim in a cup car because he deserves to be there. Like he's more than talented enough to be there. And the fact that he just beat Kyle Larson straight up, like he did. On paper, he didn't. We all saw the official results. But during that race, he leads 78 of 134 laps. Like, he was incredibly good all night. And what I like about Corey Heim is if it's not working on the bottom, he can go to the top. If it's not working on the top, he went to the bottom. And he was able to work the bottom better than anybody else was. And I was really happy to see him be able to kind of take that fight to Kyle Larson. And then ultimately, you're right, his truck just didn't want him to win that race, which honestly might be better for the Truck Series health as a whole, because if he wins 3 out of the first 4 races, like you're looking at a lot of people in that Truck Series being like, we are in for a long season at this point.
We joked last week, sorry, not to interrupt you. We joked last week, I think, wasn't it on this show where we were like, how many wins can Corey Heim get this year?
The over under was 7.5.
I said the over under should be 9.5.
I think we were talking last week, like, there's only one guy consistently each week. I think we can say he can win the race in the Truck Series right now. Reluctantly, I still had to find 5 names to have as options for my win pick because we never know what's going to happen. But I don't know how you can, I don't know how you can think of anyone other than Corey Heim right now.
Well, so Matt, I want to ask you, since you weren't here last week, we'll use 7.5. I still think the number should be 9.5, but 7.5 wins.
Give you both. Yeah.
Over under Corey Heim this season.
I take the over at 7.5.
Okay, what about 9.5?
I would take.
I know it's tough.
Yeah, I think 8's probably his sweet spot for this year.
That's me. That was my pick too.
Okay.
We're on the same page.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm gonna say this about Corey Heim. I don't care who's out there. He's the best one in the field. I don't care if it's Kyle Larson. I don't care if it's William Byron. I don't care if it's Kyle Busch. Unless you nerf him and that team with Christian Eckes not out there anymore, he's the best one out there in the trucks. Maybe not the best driver overall, obviously. I don't think that. But it literally is taking either a super speedway race, which he still ended up winning after the fact.
Yeah.
Different mechanical issues and different stuff, in Atlanta. And then his truck literally just giving up on him as he has locked it away and he has the win. I think Larson would have probably caught back up to him. I don't think he wins, but it's like, there's people, I see others, they're like, well, there's this person, no, they're not. Until they prove otherwise, they're not as good as Heim. Heim is the best driver until we get to Phoenix.
Yeah.
I do want to give an honorable mention to Lane Riggs, though. Finished second. Really impressive. We know how strong they were second half of last season, won a couple of races.
I think he's going to have a legit shot this weekend.
I think so, too. Short track guy, Cars Tour guy. Lane Riggs, absolutely going to have a shot this weekend, and I think many weekends through the rest
And
of this year.
I'm saying that considering that William Byron is also on the entry list, I think he could still have a legit shot at winning this weekend.
I think you said, Jared, earlier, though, like with Eckes gone, it's kind of Himes going to dominate. Lane Riggs is probably the one guy who could maybe fill that Christian Eckes role.
I think we had this conversation last week of like,
Maybe.
who out there is going to win? Who out there can we expect to win multiple races? And there was like 3 names we came up with. It was Majeski, Riggs, and then if Grant Enfinger runs perfect races because his truck is not as good as the others, but if he runs perfect, he'll win.
If
Maybe Chandler Smith.
I was going to say Chandler Smith would be the only other guy I would include in that conversation. And I think he just needs time to get used to that front row motorsport team. But when he does, they have speed. Like we've seen them have speed, just not the finishes yet.
If Matt Crafton ever decides to call it a career, you need to look at putting Grant Enfinger in that 88 truck. That might get that truck back up to speed again.
How old is Grant now? He's got to be late 30s. Like, when is he going to hang it up? I hope not for a while. I want to see him win a championship, man. I honestly do. I just feel like that's the guy. That's who the truck series was built around, were the Grant Enfinger types.
Yeah. He'd be one of those good
40
stories
years
to
old.
win a championship.
Oh, he's 40? Oh, no.
40?
Just turned 40 in January.
Okay, well, he's a young, spry 40. We'll put it that way.
I just got a funny text. My dad.
Well, here I am shipping Matt Crafton out of a truck. Well, he's only 8 years older than him, so
get out of here, Crafton. You've had your run.
He's old. He's old.
It's time for a younger, up and coming driver, Grant Enfinger. Put him in
40.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, fun stuff out at Homestead. Took us a bit, but we finally wrapped up the Homestead Miami Speedway portion of the show. Although we will talk a little more about Homestead and its future here coming up shortly. But first, we need this weather cell to pass by us. Jarrett, is it raining where you are?
Not yet, but I know for a fact this weekend's gonna be a problem. I'm looking around. I'm like double checking. We haven't heard the sirens yet.
That's good.
What time?
That was my lightning round.
What time is it?
That was my lightning round segue. There we go. Good job.
insert lightning round transition here.
Thank you, NWPAI.
Jarrett.exe not functioning.
That's okay. What's up?
Well, first off, for some reason, the podcast wouldn't upload on our little side channel we have. It will now. I figured out why. So side NWP channel. Clips. Yeah, we got the main one. We got a little side channel. We flirt with on the side here. But yeah, definitely subscribe to that. We'll be doing some fun stuff on there. Maybe more clips, maybe more special fun things. You'll see. As for some other stuff, Austin Hill is going to be running 5 races in the 33 Cup car for OCR this year. Yeah. I think so. I did not copy them down, unfortunately. I was on the road when it was.
Hopefully, they're at least super speedways where he's going to have a shot.
I actually know them. Do you want me to rattle them off?
Go for it. Go for it.
Darlington, Chicago Street Course, Bristol Night Race, Daytona, and Talladega.
Yeah,
Talladega.
He could steal a super speedway. I feel
the chat is already reining in the big bullies.
Do you know how pissed people would get if we have all these storylines of like somebody can win their way in at Daytona and then the last lap Austin frickin' Hill takes it?
Did what Parker Retzlaff couldn't last year.
Oh, finish what he started.
Yeah.
Side note, I see we got Carson Hosevar in the chat saying W podcast. Hello, Carson.
That's very nice, Carson. Hopefully we get W77 car sometime in the not so distant future.
I don't know if he watched. I told him when he was in the chat there in the first episode to watch that I have him. Me and Danny both have him in our playoffs. What's wrong? What are you doing, Eric? Why didn't you pick Carson? Tell him why did why did
my
you not
playoff bracket is getting obliterated in this show tonight. Well, I will give Carson credit.
His teammate.
Yeah, I'll give Carson credit that Miami, the GTA edit this weekend was incredible.
That was amazing. Props to NASCAR and Carson for doing that. Side note, I'm blanking. Have we had Carson on before in the past? I don't remember.
I think we have.
That's a great question. I have no idea.
If not, Carson, you're due for an appearance.
Finishing off the lightning round here, there's a few other things. I believe it's Stellantis, which is like the umbrella over Dodge, has said they'll restart the Hemi V8 production in August, which a lot of people read into a lot. So that's a positive. On the negative, Dollar Tree is sold off Family Dollar, according to CNN, because they lost like I think over $1 billion with it.
So there goes a logo on Legacy.
They've been losing money for a while though, haven't they? Which is I remember when they announced the Legacy deal. I think I remember everyone was Googling like
we
they
brought
were
it up on this show.
Yeah,
we're
it's
like,
really? Okay.
This isn't working, but sure, I guess safe in whatever money they have left. Then I'm finishing off here on the lightning round. Next week will be on my channel. There's my fun face smiling back at
Fun
you.
face.
April 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Should be a lot of fun.
A bearded iceberg.
Yes. So you can't see it from as far away. I do have a little stubble going on. I gotta shave it by Tuesday because I'm gonna be doing an event, but I like it. I like it. It looks good. Plus, I got my haircut too.
Are you playing for the New York Yankees? Why do you have to shave it?
No, I'm commentating with John for our e-ticket, the Southern 500. We're doing a 500-mile throwback.
John is very particular.
Yes,
he's got very high standards.
Hey, going back to that Family Dollar Tree stuff. Carson Hosmer actually bringing up a good question. Didn't Family Dollar / Dollar Tree take a percentage of equity in Legacy though?
Oh, could have. Who knows? Carson, what percentage of equity does Gamebridge have in Spire Motorsports? Or how does that relationship work?
We're just getting inside information from Carson Hosmer.
Yeah. So insider trading on NWP.
And I've verified this is actually his channel. It's not just some person pretending to be him.
That's funny. Yeah, I have no idea if that's. I wonder if that's part of the buyout, the legacy of the Family Dollar Tree. Wait, who's buying out who? Dollar Tree is selling off.
They're selling off. Yeah,
they're selling off.
Dollar Tree sounds like they're fine, but Family Dollar is hurting them very bad.
This feels like the Krusty Krab 2 situation. Why did they need $2 store brands that are technically competitors? Like, am I missing something here? Oh, man, I should have gone to business school or something. Yeah, that was the lightning round from the iceberg. We
hijacked by Carson Hosmer. Congratulations.
Well played, Carson. We don't have a lot of headlines this week, frankly. I think a lot of folks were wondering what that Kyle Busch announcement was going to be. He's racing tonight against his son Brexton. I don't know. Has that race happened yet? Is it over? Has he? Who won the battle?
Where could you watch it again? I don't remember.
It was Dirt Vision. Chat, let us know if that race has happened yet. Who won? Wait, panel bet. Who do you think won between the two Bushes? Jared, who do you think? If they've raced yet?
I'll go Brexton just because he's probably weighs less.
That's a good point, actually. That's a great point.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually gonna go Brexton on that one.
I'd go Brexton too. I'm trying to find out if it's happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I got to go Kyle. Guys, the Cup champions got to beat the 9-year-old. Come on.
I agree with Caden, but Busch won.
Is it over?
Oh, P3 for Kyle.
And where did Brexton win the race?
Hang on. P6.
So Kyle did win.
Hang the banner. He could beat a 10-year-old. He still got it.
I want to know the two people who beat Kyle, though.
Well, Jared, I just realized that was much better wording instead of saying congratulations, you can beat your son.
Yeah. Phrasing very important.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, if I said that, I'd have to like bring out the fireball or get a Pabst or something.
What do we
got in the headlines?
Yeah, we talked about Homestead already and its uncertain future. I think we're all kind of in agreement that it would be great to see it back, especially for next year. And it sounds like everyone's kind of leaning that direction. Just gotta, work on the fine print. I want to ask our two resident Nashvillians. Is that the right word? Thank you. Okay, good. About Nashville Fairgrounds. What's going on with Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway? An article surfaced this week that basically suggests there is some real political headway facing the historic Tennessee short track. Of course, they built that MLS stadium next door. They don't seem to be the friendliest of neighbors. The actual neighborhood surrounding the facility, recent polling suggests they don't want racing at the racetrack. I mean, guys, you guys have lived closer to it. I know you guys have both. I know Jarrett, especially you've worked there with John before.
Yeah, I've worked there before.
I say Jarrett take it away. He did a video on it just today, and me, it's making making my head hurt too much to look into it too much. In all honesty,
so I'd known there was some stuff going on about this, and basically, like, if we didn't hear about something sooner rather than later, we're gonna wait a while. So I'm gonna kind of take the air out of the bottom for anyone, or out of it for anyone who's thinking it's going to happen anytime soon. The earliest for voting to move this forward, based on how stuff's been held up right now, at least from what I read in multiple articles so far, and this is written in the last week, is August of next year. So they successfully held it up.
Wow.
A lot of it with the fairgrounds, it has to do with obviously money. And something I did see that people brought up is that the soccer stadium, if it wasn't fully privately paid off by the owner, it was majority, whereas SMI and NASCAR are basically asking for a lot of money. Where the BS, in my opinion, comes in is the fact that, and I got my notes right here, basically kind of the opponents right now are pushing back on racing in total being there, which is against the deal that the city has already made a while ago and would take even more fight than stopping just NASCAR. Which again, that's probably what they're doing, in my opinion. But John Ingram is the one who took the headlines. He's the owner of Nashville's soccer team and the neighboring Geodis Park, which is the stadium next door. And he's talked about withholding funding for affordable housing plans in Nashville. He's claiming he wants to use the land at the fairgrounds in a couple interviews for that. And that if it were to be renovated and SMI were to get it, that it would compete with his stadium, with concerts, events, scheduling problems, stuff like that. And it would also, in his words, prevent a pro women's soccer team from coming to Nashville. Personally, at least from what I can tell, and again, the people I've talked to are a little biased on it, I will admit. I think it's a whole load of crap. I think it's BS. The current Bristol agreements and things that they're pushing have less racing weekends than they currently have, which I think now is 10, might be 12, somewhere like the lower double digits. So there'd be less overall racing and a lot less testing days. So there'd be less noise coming from it. And I saw there was a study that was done as well that the crowd at its max at those soccer games is as loud as a NASCAR race would be anyways. So the noise argument,
crazy.
Yeah. And then, good for them. Like, it's not my thing. I wouldn't go that crazy over a 1-0 game, but is what it is.
Danny, when you came to Frisco, we went to the Dallas FC game because I live pretty close to the stadium. And what was the final score of that game, Danny?
I think it tied. I don't think there was a winner.
0-0.
By the way, you got me curious about affordable housing in the area around the Nashville Fairground Speedway. I just went to Zillow and started looking around the Nashville Fairground Speedway. Here are the following things I'm seeing: 750,000, 750,000, 700,000, 875,000, 2.3 million, 1.3 million, 473,000, 690,000. There's a 300,000. There's a 325,000. 1.2 million.
Can I get
another
a loan?
1.2 million?
Well, it sounds like, Danny, you need to be quiet. It sounds like you're saying they need some affordable housing.
And I'm sorry. There is no way, if that's the case, and especially if from the sounds of it is going up, that a bunch of people whose housing value is going up are going to want to have affordable housing right next door, which is why I think this whole thing to me is a crock of shit.
That whole area, even around it, across the interstate, you're not going to find anything better than 300,000. Like, there is no affordable housing anywhere close to this area at the moment. So why all of a sudden does it have to be here?
What it is to me, and this is their big plan, is just keep obstructing until NASCAR and SMI and Bristol say, screw it, it's not worth it. Because their reasoning changes every time. They lie every time. For instance, they said there was a poll that only 21% support NASCAR, whereas 71% want to build affordable housing. The only issue is it was an incredibly biased poll from the people wanting to not have NASCAR come in. When they had an independent poll, it was closer to even. So it's like, it's just politics, and I'm so freaking annoying. And this is what we're gonna have to deal with street races, racing at tracks like the fairgrounds. Politics and NASCAR will become more intertwined. Luckily, it's just local ones though, so we won't have to deal with the other stuff. I hate all of it. It's
This
just desperation, lying, back and forth politics. It's gonna keep being like this.
This has been a very political show. We've already mentioned the city of Phoenix paying NASCAR. We've mentioned the vice mayor of Homestead giving it a 70% chance of landing the finale. Now we're talking about downtown Nashville. This has been quite the episode so far. I hope it works out for the track. Matt, have you been to Nashville? Have you been to the fairgrounds before? Because you're based in Ohio, right?
Yeah. I've never been to a race at the fairgrounds. I've driven past it, checked it out and everything. Holding up affordable housing though to get what you want is a bad look. Like PR wise, I would be like, hey, don't do that. But hey, it's not my money.
Here's the thing. They would not build affordable housing right next to this. Do you know what they've done recently and what they would probably want to do more of in that space? They have built an apartment complex just in between the racetrack and the soccer field.
Yeah.
I've never really looked into how much that apartment complex costs.
I have a detail about that.
Huh?
Not about the cost, but I have a detail about their agreement with that.
Okay. This apartment complex currently has 4 options available. Studio apartment starting at $1,300, a 1-bedroom apartment starting at $1,900 a month. What part of that is affordable housing? You
Danny,
want to see more of.
You're making their argument for them that they need more affordable housing.
They're not gonna suddenly put the projects in this place, then.
So the last couple times I've been there, they like I believe they finished it up and it's good now, but like they were building it. Part of the agreement, if you're to move there, is that you have to sign part of your agreement understanding you're next to a racetrack and you basically can't just complain about it. Like you know where you're moving into. This is part of your agreement. We notified you. So if you can't look out your damn window, it's there. They race 10, 12, however many races and race weekends a year. But the affordable, like, I'm sorry, there's so many other things with the city of Nashville that are kind of messed up with it. And it's like so many people are like, at first it was the infrastructure and traffic infrastructure. And then the people of Nashville voted down paying for like a train transit system and other things to add to it. And so now they've moved to affordable housing, except for the fact that there has never been anything put into any kind of housing being built there. But if anyone's thinking of that Cumberland Yard thing, that was BS too. That was asking around about that. People laughed you out of the building if you thought that was real. Like, it was not real. It was never going to be real. This is just another one of those things. And I think putting your, like you're saying, putting your neck out there and saying, yeah, I'm going to hold up affordable housing at the nicest, that's just nastiness in politics. At the worst, that's just evil. Like, I don't think there's any way to put it. Like, it's wrong. Like, this is just a rich dude who wants to make more money off an area, and people thinking that like these people moved in and these people built here literally thinking and saying, yeah, we know the track's not going to make it to the next decade, so who cares? And then they're surprised when, hey, racing fans are actually pretty damn loyal and we can hold some stuff up. I'm going to say this for anybody who wants to get in the good fight on this, especially if you're in Nashville, from somebody who's lost 2 of his tracks, just keep fighting. Be annoying to them. Don't go down to their level, but just keep fighting and keep showing why that there needs to be racing there. Like, I'm not going to have a third damn track. I've already lost Chicagoland and Rockford. Chicagoland, there's still hope at least.
That one's not lost for good.
Yeah.
No, Rockford is literally gone. I have 2 pieces of Rockford Speedway sitting 10 feet away from me in my office right now. So keep fighting. Keep the good. I'm passionate about this, man. I'm passionate.
I can tell. I wanted to give you your soapbox for a few moments. As Cito noted in the chat earlier, worst comes to worst, there are still 5 F1 tracks in the area that NASCAR could potentially run. Anyway, in all seriousness, I agree.
This is one other thing. This is so funny to me. It's like they're like, the city isn't big enough for another professional league to be in there. Like, we already have soccer and we have NHL and we have NFL. And then I look at the Twin Cities area that has like 4 professional, like the big 4, and they can add in giant events left and right. And they have almost the exact same population as Nashville in that area. So
Nashville is likely adding MLB, WNBA, and possibly women's soccer in the next few years.
If y'all get the White Sox, I think that's going to be so funny.
I will hold up a W flag behind there just to be that asshole Cubs fan.
Gosh.
I'll do it. I will.
Well, well, on that note, I think it's time for some fun segments, y'all. We are 90 minutes into the show. I think we owe you guys some good fun segments after I ruined it last week. Matt, if you missed it, I shot in the dark on our random driver of the week. I got it right like 3 guesses in,
really?
or three rounds in. It was total. I just threw a name out there to
No,
try
not
and,
even 3. I think it was 2.
It was 3.
Let's say it was 1. Honestly, I basically read Jarrett's mind. Frankly, I might be a superhero.
Jarrett,
Anyway, I ruined fun time last week.
You need to add "we're having fun" sound to the soundboard.
We'll add that. That's a good point. But before we get to our random driver of the week, we do have our prediction segment where each week each host makes 2 NASCAR or racing related predictions. Before we get to that, though, we need to hold ourselves accountable. Jarrett, I'll let you take this away.
Yeah, let's see what we got. So for my side of the accountability, nothing came off the board. So I'm clean this week.
He has been punting week after week after. One of these days, how's the chickens are going to come home to roost or something? How's the saying go?
For me, it's more like eventually you're gonna you keep punting and kicking it down the road, and then you're gonna have to pay the due. It's like the cap, in sports. You can keep pushing it down, but eventually you'll get there. But today is not that day. Eric, you said Kyle Larson would lead the most laps in each Homestead race. He did.
I was so close.
You also said Kyle Larson would spin out 2 or more times at Homestead all weekend.
He's so close.
The first race, and then was damn near perfect the rest of the way.
I felt so good about these predictions, or at least the second one. I know Heim kind of dominating messed me up on Friday, but dang.
Danny, you said Noah Gragson would score a top 10 in the Cup race. Based on what I have on my end, I believe he did not do that. I believe
16th. He got 16th. He had a good race going, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, he did.
So on the year, I'm still at 46.66%. Eric at 28.57. Danny at 23.81. And all time, I'm at 42.99 since the start of 2024. Eric at 31.25 and Danny at 29.77.
Oh, brutal. So who kicking things off this week? Who goes first? Jarrett, you go first. All right, hit us with your first one.
All right, this one will come off the board one way or another this week. I've been following the weather on it a lot. I'm going to make this prediction. The winner of the Cup race will cross the line under the checkered flag or whatever the last lap is on wet tires if they have them. If not, then it's wrong.
Okay, all right. I'll talk about, I did a video today talking a little bit about some of the throwback paint schemes that have been unveiled. I'm a little concerned, though, because maybe there have been some in the last couple hours, but there's only, I think, 6 or maybe 7 Cup Series throwback schemes that have been unveiled so far. That seems like a low number to be this late in the game. So my prediction is that there will be fewer than 20 throwback type schemes on track at Darlington in the Cup race next week. Last year, I believe they got to 24 or 25 was what I counted. My prediction is they'll end up with 20 or less.
I kind of feel we're going to see more from the Xfinity Series than the Cup Series.
Yeah, which is sad because I hope this doesn't mean that throwback weekend is starting to fade away. I think it's been one of my favorite modern traditions that stuck pretty well for the past decade.
It may need to move to a different track, maybe.
I think it's just the sponsors. I think sponsors are paying so much money. You just getting the teams and the sponsors on board year after year is tricky. I think
I always say the irony. We're one to talk. We had a chance to do a throwback and we didn't.
To be fair, things changed on us very last minute. But yes, we could have done a throwback.
If I remember correctly, that wasn't initially supposed to be a Darlington race.
I think we were originally supposed to do Martinsville, and then
that's right.
Things changed last minute, and it was like, well, we already got this.
Imagine
this was our honest look.
Imagine if we had just done the ultimate and since we were 78 car, just say make it look like Truex. Go.
We could have just made it a black scheme with a 78 and said this is Furniture Row.
Do the font.
That would be such a cop out, but funny as hell.
Danny, what's your first prediction?
Since we were talking so good about him earlier, I'm gonna say I never got a chance to do it as a junior fan. Still haven't yet, but I will attend a race won by Alex Bowman this season. You guys have, I have not.
That's a fun one. Have I been to a Bowman? Oh yeah, I went to Auto Club when he won that race.
Yep. Yeah, we went to the. Let's see. You went to that one, 2019. Let's see. I was there.
Oh, wait, Chicago last year.
I was at Martinsville.
I'm going to go to a few this season, but I'm going to say I will be at one he wins this year.
All right, BrakeHard, your first prediction.
I'm going this weekend, Xfinity race, Carson Quappo leads the most laps.
Ooh, I
I
like
like
that
that.
one.
That's a good one. Okay, Jarrett, what's your second?
I'll go another long-term one. We'll find out this one at the end of August. I think 2 or more past Cup champions miss the playoffs.
Did you make a prediction like that already, or is that not
I
an
said that
official prediction?
six drivers. I think what was it? I have the predictions up. I can just look at it right
Well,
now.
and
Last week I said 6 drivers that missed the 2024 Cup playoffs would make it this year.
Okay, maybe I'll get it
I'm
mixed
being
up then.
oddly specific this
Yes.
time around.
All right, I hate to kick this guy when he's down, but I see no light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm going to say that Ty Gibbs does not score a single top 5 finish between now and the All-Star race.
Sheesh.
I could have said top 10. I'm not feeling that bold. I need a right prediction
Yeah,
for a
'cause
change, so we'll go top 5.
I feel like we could see him in the top 10 at Bristol still.
Mhm.
That leaves his 100 start at the Coke 600 open, though, for a win.
Oh, that's true. That is 100, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that'll be a big one. Okay.
Imagine he's going to break out and win the Coke 600 Austin Dillon first win style.
Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth. It's people done it. We'll see.
What you got?
Sam Mayer will get the new Haas Factory team their first win before Cole Custer or Sheldon Creed. So that's considering
Okay.
both of their series. I'm counting them as their own separate team, separate from SHR.
Fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. So on my channel, my bold prediction for the year was Joey Logano winless for the season. I'm not entirely sure I believe that still, so I'm going to go with a different one, that being Bubba Wallace wins 2 races this year.
Ooh, first multi-win season.
Yeah.
See, I feel like both of those are pretty likely, frankly. I mean, Logano will probably win a race somewhere, somehow, but like we said it earlier, 0 top 10s.
I was the one with the balls not to pick him for the playoffs. I get he's in there now, but no top 10 so far. Like,
I mean,
it could happen, man.
both
Yeah.
those predictions are looking fairly reasonable so far. This is a good week for predictions. I'm excited to see how these play out in the coming weeks. But that means that it's time for the random driver of the week. We don't have a drop for this, Matt. So I've been like trying to like ad lib it every single week. It's not going very well.
Yeah.
We do got to hide the chat, though. We do got to do
Yes,
that.
that's the one Scout's honor. Don't look at the chat.
That's where I pop the chat up on my end.
Yes, Jarrett scans the chat so he can make fun of us when they all get it right and we get this one wrong. Do you know how this works, Matt? I think I sent it over to you. We each get 3 guesses, so don't burn them all at once. But yeah, Jarrett will give us an unknown number of clues. Usually he has at least like 20 clues.
Ooh, okay.
We're on the over this week.
Okay, more than 20 clues.
Eric only needs 1, so.
Well, all time right now, because we're not going to do year by year. We're just going to count all time. Danny and Eric are now tied at 18. Eric got the last 2 in a row. John Hunter Nemechek last week in the quickest ever with 3 clues, breaking the record from Alie Productions, I believe, of 5. And then you also got Bobby Allison the week before. This fresh off the heels of Danny having 3 in a row with Casey Mears, Tim Fidoa, and Mike Harmon. So let's get it going.
Okay.
This random driver's first name is actually Julius.
Okay.
All right.
That's going to be a great giveaway right away for probably a bunch of people in the chat.
So I'm going to guess we know this driver as more of a middle name or something, or a nickname probably.
Yeah. This random driver's dad was a cab driver.
Oh, wait. So that's 2 clues. I feel like I got to throw a guess out to see if I can beat Nick last week.
Oh, gosh. Go for it, man.
Joe Weatherly.
That answer.
That was a shot in the dark.
I would be mad if you somehow got that.
Okay, I'm done. I got to save my guesses.
I got to write that down here. All right. This random driver is actually the subject of an upcoming biopic.
Oh.
I
Dale
don't think
Earnhardt.
I've heard of any NASCAR biopics.
Trust me, I found out about this while I was looking this stuff up last night.
Oh.
I didn't know about it either.
Elite marketing.
This random driver's family ran an illegal liquor business?
A lot of people in NASCAR did, yes.
This random driver is one of 8 children.
Oh God, a lot of drivers have siblings.
Oh gosh, there's no way you're making it sound. Never mind. I don't know. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to say it in case it is right.
Yeah, because you've said so many before where you're like, oh, I think it's got to be so and so, right?
Yeah, give me hints.
This random driver's sister was also a NASCAR driver.
Sister was a driver.
Mm-hmm. I love how everyone in the chat is just putting Julia something something.
Have they gotten it right yet? Is the chat like unanimous yet?
Granted, I can't see as much of it as usual, but I have not seen the right answer yet. Getting close, but not the right one yet. This random driver actually developed stomach ulcers due to the stress caused by the back and forth issues with a specific team owner.
Ugh.
Wow. Stomach pains? What a toxic work environment.
This team owner sucks. Oh my gosh.
Very
Wow.
Richard Petty-esque of them.
This random driver was hired for PR work and ticket sales for the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Oh my God. There's no way. That's not. I don't.
Remember, we have the
Derek
list.
and I had
once
the same thought.
Remember, we
I
have the
don't
list at the
remember this.
bottom that we keep track of. So, this random driver has never been tweeted about by any of us.
Oh,
I look back on all of you and myself, and we have never tweeted about this random driver.
wow. Okay. Wait, all 4 of us? Like you checked all of ours? You little stalker.
I love how it's like I'm a stalker this week, but other weeks you're like, this is my favorite clue.
I do like this clue every week. I literally just scrolled to the bottom of our list to see all the, and I know this is cheating because Matt doesn't have access to this, but I'm looking to make sure like some of the people I'm thinking of we've already guessed in the like a year ago.
This random driver was called, quote, a cool customer by Richard Petty.
I would like put that on my tombstone if Richard Petty called me a cool customer, like a little quote, you know, like a
Well, this
senior
random
quote.
driver is dead, so there is,
Oh.
might be there.
R.I.P.
What did you say they did at Charlotte?
PR and ticket sales.
I don't think this person was in that part of Charlotte.
This random driver at the time was the only driver to win in all 4 divisions that ran on the beaches of Daytona.
Oh.
I'm just gonna throw the name out there because I don't remember if they drove even, but maybe they did. Humpy Wheeler.
That was a thought I had earlier.
Okay, just had to put it out there because I remember him doing something at Charlotte, but
He was like
lot
the head of
Track
he was
president,
like he was the Charlotte guy. For
but
a while.
I know, but that could have been like he started doing that and then it
Yeah.
led into that.
This random driver was born in 1924.
Oof. Man. I really have no clue. Earlier, I felt like there were a lot of people it could be. Now I'm like kind of lost.
This random driver raced for these OEMs: Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Mercury, Lincoln, Chrysler, Plymouth, Cadillac, and Hudson.
So everything under the sun except Toyota and Dodge.
They didn't race a Jaguar. Sorry, this is where I'm going to be the most snarky asshole of the night. So it just makes me. I have
didn't
fun
drive
with
a Can-Am Spider.
Nah, not that I can see. This random driver did not serve in World War II, but his brothers did.
Mm.
Do you need a notepad to write down the numbers?
Oh my God! I just hit me with them.
All right. This random driver raced these numbers: 1R, 2, 3, 9, 11, 15, 16, 18, 21, 44, 49, 71, 75, 83, 86, 88, 89, 90, 91, 98, 285, 300, 300A, 300B, 301, and 501.
You hit me with the one R.
One R.
I'm gonna throw I feel like we've said one of these guys already. I'm gonna go. I feel like he's the best known of the group. I'll go Tim Flock. Really?
Correct.
Oh. Whoa! Have we not done Tim Flock before?
We have not done a member of the Flocks, not even Jocko Flacco.
Or
So when's the Tim
Fonnie
Flock
is the other
coming
one?
out?
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
So Danny went like 3-4 in a row. Now Eric's at 3 in a row. I'm trying to look at some of the good ones too that I left off.
Yeah, I was thinking Junior Johnson early on because of the moonshine stuff, but I'm like, that's way too obvious.
Oh yeah,
Right.
So the upcoming biopic is going to be, at least from what I could see, because I saw the casting call for it, is The Fabulous Flocks.
Oh, cool.
And
I'd go see that.
Well, so that was one of 3 nicknames that the family had. They had the Fabulous Flocks, the Mad Flock, and the Flying Flocks.
I like the Flying Flocks. That should stick.
Let's
So
see.
Julius Tim Flock would have been his name, I guess.
Yes, Julius Timothy Flock. Let's see. And by the way, credit not to me really for getting all this stuff put together. When we were driving back from visiting our family up north, Riss actually compiled all of these. So
Hey,
Oh,
shout out
yeah.
Riss.
kicked ass.
Random driver
needed-
of the week, archivist.
She also needed something to get her mind off the fact she was getting kicked in the ribs. So
Yeah. Well,
another fun fact here. This random driver, aka Tim Flock, Tim Flock drove his newlywed neighbor's car in NASCAR's first race.
they still have like little like cans dangling off the back.
I think they had stuff still on it. Not like all of that, but they still had some.
Was there
stuff.
a QR code that said "Buy us a drink on our honeymoon"?
I know, and like the 16,000 or like 10,000 or 6,000, whatever it was in person, are like, what's a QR code?
Yeah, naturally. I was there. History speaks for itself.
Still holds the record for most poles in a cup season.
That's a
and
fun
finished
fact.
top 5 in all but 7 starts in his second championship.
Wow.
And then the
That's a good
last
one.
I'll put it up. Let's see. Hopefully it doesn't see through. You can't really see it. The last one is just monkey.
Monkey.
Yep. So
me and my monkey.
The Tim Flock website still exists. If anybody's interested, timflock.com. It appears to be made by, remember like those old GeoCities web pages when we were kids? That's what it looks like. And yeah, it's still, somebody's paying that fee every month.
Oh yeah, this is way old school website.
Love that.
he was the
It
he had
links to a Square YouTube video.
he had the original trunk monkey. Does anyone remember those commercials?
No.
Oh yeah, like those commercials are
Is that
funny
a
as
Speed
hell.
Racer reference?
I mean, maybe that's what it was meant to be, but they were funny commercials like in the early 2000s. I'll show you guys after we do this. We still have the rest of the show to do. I guarantee there's probably somebody in the chat that's seen it too.
What was it for? Suburban Auto Group?
I think that was it.
Okay,
Yeah.
just looking
Something
views on
real.
it, so yeah.
And like one of them was like, someone's breaking into your car and the trunk monkey will come out with a crowbar and bash his head in or something like
Oh
that.
man.
Those
We all
were
do a trunk monkey.
yeah. I love those. It was like those ones. Those ones came out around the same time as like the "What's Up" commercial.
Yeah, 2000, early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Wow.
the golden age of funny ass commercials.
Back
But-
when you could actually watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. Nowadays,
I
it's not nearly as fun as it used to be. Actually, have to watch the game. What? Well, we are beginning to wind down another eventful NWP, but that means it's time to talk about the upcoming race. That is Martinsville Speedway. Let's go over some important race information, shall we? The truck race is called the Boys and Girls Club of the Blue Ridge 200. It is a 200 lap race, stage breakdown 50, 50, 100. Starts at 7:30 p.m. on Friday, FS1. MRN, Sirius XM. We started tracking the purse money now because we mentioned earlier, because more races are in cable and streaming, the money's gone up this year. Almost $800,000, $782,000 is the Truck Series purse. Weather is 70 degrees, partly cloudy with a 24% chance of rain. Christian Eckes, the defending spring Martinsville winner. For the Xfinity Series, it's the Marine Corps 250. That's kind of a tough sponsor.
That back and forth. We go from the Boys and Girls Club to the Marines. Funny enough, both use crayons.
250 lap race, stage breakdown 60, 60, 130. It starts at 5 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. It's on the CW, also MRN. Sirius, 1.6 million is the overall purse. Weather looks good. High of 78, mostly cloudy, only a 4% chance of rain. Eric Almirola, the defending winner, and I believe he is in the field this weekend looking to defend his spring Martinsville crown. The great point. Cup race is the Cookout 400, 400 laps, 80, 100, 220 are the stage breakdowns. It's a 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern start time on Sunday. FS1, MRN, $11 million is the overall purse. Mentioned that earlier. Cooler day, 69 degrees. Afternoon showers are expected. Right now, there's a 60% chance of rain. They do have wet weather tires that they likely will not use in active rain, but under damp conditions, we could see those rolled out. William Byron is the defending winner. If I recall, Hendrick Motorsports went 1-2-3 in this race 1 year ago in those ruby red 40th anniversary schemes. Jarrett, do you have the current NWP pick point standings up and ready to rock and roll?
I do. Here we go.
Wow, Danny with the comeback. Kyle Larson carrying him to the points lead. Still tight though, man. 4 points back is me. Chat only 5 points back. Jarrett is now in the basement, but it's a shallow basement, just underneath the floorboards there. Still peeking up 9 points out.
We can make up, I think the number is, if I'm not mistaken, 31 or 41. I think it's
a lot,
41.
but we never do. We don't. The parity has been significant. Nobody has like pulled away in the couple of years we've used this format, which has kept it interesting for sure. But there's an added variable this week because we have a guest who gets to pick first and take whoever they'd like off the board. So we'll start with you, Matt, for the Truck Series race. Who wins at Martinsville this weekend?
I mean, it's foolish to not take probably the best truck and driver in the field, that being William Byron in the 07 Spire truck this week. He has won at Martinsville with Spire before. I believe gave him their first truck win, maybe. Could be wrong. Regardless, yeah, I think that's probably the truck to beat on Friday night.
Fair enough. Jarrett, you're up next.
Well, I'm happy that Lee's my number one pick because I said it earlier. I think he's the best one on the track no matter what. I'm going Heim time.
Wow. Okay. All right. Chat is next, I believe. So we got to survey the chat. Where are we? What are we feeling, chat?
I think I just took theirs. So I'm seeing a lot of 98s.
I am seeing a lot of 98s, some 34s, but definitely Majeski seems to be their heavy hitter. Let's give him time, Majeski. That's not bad. Great short track racer for sure. Man, I think I have to do it back-to-back weeks. Give me Lane Riggs. Another good short track racer. We talked about him earlier. Danny, who do you got?
And that does leave me with my number 5 pick, Grant Enfinger.
Okay.
Finger.
Right. Like it. I like it. Next up, the Xfinity Series race, the Marine Corps 250.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
All right. We'll kick things off here. Who you got, Matt?
I said his name earlier. I think Carson Quapple is going to go all Josh Berry, pick up his first career win at Martinsville.
I was really hoping he might slip to where I was. I'm bummed by your pick there. All right, Jared, who do you got?
I think that he's shown he has the ability to rough people up for the win, so I'm going to go with the guy who's been pretty damn good here, Eric Almirola.
Fair enough. Chats, they're a few seconds behind, so they're having to pivot here a bit. Looks like they might be leaning Zillage.
Remind me again who the picks were. I was distracted by a text message. I know Jarrett had Almirola, but who did you have?
Quapple.
Okay, I did not have him on my list. Okay.
It's looking like Zillage or Allgaier. Do I need to do a quick poll?
I think it's 7, but we'll do the poll just because I've been wrong.
Seems more heavy on the 7s to me, but
Okay, no, you guys might be right. Originally, it was showing a lot of 88s, but I've looked away. Maybe it's more 7s. Just going to run it for like 8 seconds. 8, 7. Okay, I'm not going to do that. That's terrible radio, terrible podcasting. It's 50-50 on my screen right now. All right, now we're updated.
Okay.
I'm going to end it here in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ending the poll. You should have got your vote in quicker than that.
It's pretty heavy 7.
Justin Allgaier definitely skewed towards the 7 there at the end. All right. So sorry. We have Guapel, Allgaier, Almirola are off the board. Oh, man. My next pick is the big bully. I guess I'll take Austin Hill. We'll go with Austin Hill. That's fine.
All right. Well, that gave me a few more options this time, but I will take Connor Zilish.
Okay. All right. Okay. So next, we have several rounds for our Cup Series picks. We like to begin with who we think is going to suck this week. Could be a good driver who just has an off day. Could be a slow car you expect to bring up the rear. Who's your suck pick this week?
I'm going to go with Christopher Bell. Back-to-back bad weeks for him. I think this is just going to be another one.
He struggled here in the playoff race last fall.
Yep.
I'm going to kick him always down. Ty Gibbs.
For these picks, we are allowed to repeat since they're not for points. Chat is also going Ty Gibbs. And I mean, one of my predictions earlier was that Ty Gibbs is going to struggle for a bit. So I'll just make it easy. Hate to pile on, but
Ty Gibbs
is what it is. Danny, how about you?
You know, he's got that win. He's secured, and he is a short track guy. But I'm going to just say something happens that he didn't want to happen, and Josh Berry has a bad race.
Oh, that would be a little surprising. Okay, then we can have some more fun with this pick. Who is a good dark horse y'all are keeping an eye on?
I'm going to go the opposite of Danny here, where he thinks he's going to have a bad race. I think Josh Berry is going to have a good race. I don't know if we can call him a dark horse because he has already won a race this year, but he's never won a Martinsville in the Cup Series, so I'll pick him.
Well, I'll stick in the Ford camp. I'm trying to see where he's at. He's only okay. So this guy is having a way better season than I think any of us had expected. He would be ahead of all of his teammates, I think, right now, if the penalty weren't there. I'm going to go Austin Hendrick getting, I think, a solid top 10 run this week.
I feel like that's very realistic. Chat is kind of all over the place. Again, this one's not for points. I'll just kind of say who they're talking about. They're mentioning Priest, which I think that was going to be my pick, was Ryan Priest. Back-to-back top 10s. We saw how good.
SVG.
Yeah, there's some SVGs. I mean, he was good in at the Clash. We also see, guys like Allmendinger, some of these road course racers do better at Martinsville than maybe other ovals because of the heavy braking.
I'm seeing a lot more 88, honestly.
We can give him SVG. I don't think they'll pick him to win, so that's probably fine. Danny, who do you have as your underdog pick?
He was in the chat earlier, Carson Hocevar.
All right. Okay. Nice.
Eric, did you give yours?
Yeah, I was going to say Priest.
Okay.
I couldn't tell if the chat was taking Priest, but it doesn't matter. I think Priest is he was really good here with Stuart Haas, or had flashes, obviously, with Stuart Haas. And I mean, he's quietly been solid with RFK the last few weeks. So with that being said, though, it's time for the main event. Who is going to win the, what was it called? Cookout 400 at Martinsville. If I went in doubt, just say Cookout.
We have now.
Yeah, there's a lot of Cookout races now. Chat is already putting their votes in. So, Matt, this is your chance to break their hearts.
Yeah, Burt Myers. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney because he's led the most laps here recently. Hendrick, typically good in the spring. I'm still going to go with Blaney. Turn it around.
I did say one of us was going to take him.
All right,
well,
Jarrett.
I got my number one pick for every single race, so I can't complain at all if something happens or I don't get the best possible weekend. I'm going to go Kyle Larson. I think Hendrick's going to be really good. And I'll wait till after in case somebody picks him, but I think my number 2 pick would actually surprise a lot of people.
Interesting. I'm a little surprised. Is it weird? I'm a little surprised Larson was the first Hendrick car off the board. Just a little. Chat, where are you guys at? I'm seeing a lot of 24s.
If this is an important race for Hendrick Motorsports, I would have picked William Byron. I'll just say that.
There's a lot of 9s as well, but I think they're going 24. I don't know if you guys.
I know there's a couple Casey Mears in there.
I see some. Yeah, 66.
Hey, we might need to pull.
Put up a poll. I will give him William Byron. I'll be fair to them. That seems to be the plurality. Well, those were my top 3, not in that order. I would have put Byron over Larson, but Blaney for sure at 1. So This is crazy. People think I hate this guy because I pointed out that he hasn't been great in a while, consistently, I should say. But Chase Elliott was really good at
Yep.
Bowman Gray, led a lot of laps. Maybe I'm putting too much stock in that race. I probably am, but similar track type, similar tire. I'll take Chase Elliott.
That was
He
my number
was
2 pick.
he was my number 1 pick. He finished in the top 3 in both races here last year.
Yeah.
And here
He's
I thought
been
I was
all-
about to surprise everyone. Wow. Okay.
We
Never
just
mind.
know, we do know wheel, Eric.
So I gotta go with my 5th pick, Austin Cindric.
Ooh.
What?
Really?
What did I just
Yes.
hear? I zoned
I
out for a
did-
minute.
I had to
Yeah.
do a double. I don't know what's the ear version of a double take.
A spit take.
The
but out of
last
your ears.
time that I felt good about Austin Cindric, he was on a flat track, and I didn't pick him to win, and he won the race.
That's
This could age
won
really
$1,200.
well or really badly, but I just love Jarrett. Like, yeah, we know wheel. And Danny drops probably the most shocking pick.
I mean, he
Hey,
wasn't
Danny
my
gets
first
this one.
pick, obviously, but
He
Hey,
finished
Danny gets
fourth.
this one. This will be the most insane pull of the year.
What were you saying, Matt?
I was gonna say he finished 4th there in the fall, same tire this in the spring now.
Okay,
So
all right. Okay, he did win Gateway.
you
which
guys
kinda-
left me Austin Cindric. What else was I gonna do? I mean,
Hey, Danny,
Wow.
he won me $1,200 on a $5 bet at Gateway last year. So
All
like,
right.
I am
I
all
mean-
in Cindric's
I
camp.
mean that what he said did play into it. Yes, he did finish good here in the fall, and that played a lot into my thinking with it.
I did not realize he was 4th in the fall. All right, but that's still
And
that's not who I
Penske
would-
knows how to build good cars, but it's obviously Blaney. Logano has won here.
I'm gonna be facetious,
Fair
but
enough.
where would he have been if Chevy wasn't blocking the track a few positions behind him, Danny? No, I'm kidding. Digging
All
up
right.
old bad memories. Hey, I'm excited for the Cup race this week. I just want to say that before we finish the Martinsville side of things. The finish overshadowed it, but the race last year was like an actual good Martinsville race, and I really want to see how it is this year.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It was a good race, even that they're not bringing like a secondary option tire. I just think bringing back that same soft tire will hopefully lead to another good Martinsville style race. That's the thing. It's like the fall race finally kind of looked like Martinsville again, which was
the rubber
me some
buildup
hope.
the rubber buildup on the cars last year too, like flashes back to what early 2000s Gen 4 style when we used to have soft tires and we used to tear things up like that. It was pretty cool.
100%. Well, great picks, everyone. Chat, thank you for playing along. May the best picks win at Martinsville this weekend. Want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We're going to wrap things up with our final super chat stage break. Y'all have been extremely generous. Really appreciate y'all hanging out with us, sitting through my immense technical difficulties in the first 20 minutes of the episode. Really do appreciate your support. Let's see where we left off here. Shorty PJM, regular viewer of the show. Alex and Bubba sucked all race. Hack and Backmarker finished P2 and P3. They are good. And they're way down in points. No, they're only 3rd and 7th. Disgrace, 0 talent, ban both. Wow, calling out the Bubba Bowman haters in one fell swoop there, Shorty PJM. Well played. Fred Dog 81, thank you for the super chat. I'm not sure if you ever saw that famous 80s anti-drug PSA, but Kyle Busch getting mad at Hocevar is like that pot-smoking dad who is mad at his pot-smoking son. He learned it from watching you.
My dad
Hey.
brought this up like while I was up there this past weekend.
Adding into that earlier when we were talking about the Kyle Busch, doing better than Brexton, Carson Hocevar literally said in the chat, happy for him.
Was it Kraft that did the parody of that commercial too, where it's like, stop taking the Kraft mac and cheese off of your sister's plate? Where did you learn this? I learned it from watching you, Dad.
Alex Left says, I'm going to out myself by saying I was the one pretending to be him, but I have to ask for real, which NASCAR, driver is the most likely to be a Paul Heyman guy? Is this a question for you, Danny?
Which NASCAR driver is most likely to be a Paul Heyman guy?
He's a wrestler, right? Am I crazy?
Well, he's a managerial figure who comes out as like, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for
Which driver?
I'm gonna say
The big
I'm
bully.
gonna say Chris Buescher.
Oh, okay. I got to look this guy up then. All right. Good pull. Thank you,
He's
Alex.
been the advocate of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, so I'm going to go with Chris Buescher, bigger driver, maybe an Austin Hill. He's got to advocate for the big guy, you know.
Two former Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Palm Tree 82, thank you for the super chat. It got up to 65 degrees here up north, got the grill out, and now watching NWP with some grilled chicken the way God intended. Awesome.
That's
3
a
races
good night right
this
there.
weekend. Best NASCAR or best track in NASCAR, in my opinion. That sounds like a wonderful evening, Palm Tree. Hope you're still hanging out with us. Hope you had a wonderful dinner. That sounds delicious.
We got our chicken reference for the episode.
Beautiful. You hit our quota for the night. Really killed a lot of birds with one stone there, Palm Tree. Really appreciate that. From
birds.
From Morgan earlier, Homestead has a Publix. That's cool.
Oh.
They did like the strong like flexing emoji, like hell yeah, we got Publix. A Florida staple. That's true. Gavin Adcock, thank you for the 10. I agree with Eric. NASCAR should be able to waive off restarts. If your local short track does it, why shouldn't NASCAR? Like I said earlier, I could see it opening up whole new forms of race manipulation depending on timing and track, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, we had the conversation earlier. It's yeah, I just want the control car to actually get to control the restart. That's all. Let them make the mistake. Don't let somebody else make the mistake for them. Pat, thank you for the super chat. New Hampshire finale when? Oh, right. 2001. No. But was that the restrictor plate race?
No.
Was that
That
when was
was the
the
year
restrictor?
2000.
2000 was the restrictor plate race.
The perfect race for Jeff Burton.
Yes.
Dustin, thank you for the super chat. Can NWP request getting Kim Kuhn on as a guest? We know Kim a little bit. We could maybe have her on at some point. That'd be fun. That'd be cool. You can make as many requests as you'd like. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll answer our DMs or our emails.
It's like, welcome, Ken. First thing we need to ask, what's your favorite type of chicken?
Yes.
Not a trick question either.
That's where she goes, goodbye.
That is where she's like, what did I sign up for? Andrew Winslow. Sal was operating the IMS Productions truck at Thermal when the broadcast cut to black, making him the big loser. He must fix NASCAR as punishment. Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Sal. Pat, again, with another super chat. Adding on to Danny B's point on Homestead weather in the summer, hurricanes. Yes.
Yeah.
You were potentially right in the crosshairs of a hurricane there on the southern tip of Florida. Video Game Sports chimes in. Anyone else want to see a throwback to KFB's Z-Line car? Such a simple scheme, but it's pure fire.
We basically already have it with, I think it's Christopher Bell's new Ream design. It looks a lot like that one, honestly.
It's got the same colors. Yeah. It doesn't have the squiggles.
No, the gun does have squiggles. It's pretty.
Oh, does it?
It's not far off, honestly.
I'll have to look at it again.
Not the
Maybe you're on
same, but it's
something.
not far off.
Okay, well then we got an homage for you there, but yeah, it would be cool to see an actual honest throwback attempt.
Or just have Ream just do that one. Go ahead, guys. I think that scheme also ran on 20 some, so it makes sense.
This is an interesting super chat from Alex Left. Said, I got a theory on why race cars don't have speedometers. It's psychological. Drivers don't want to know how fast they're really going. They're worried that fear could kick in. That was a possible reason back in the 50s. I haven't heard that. That seems like an interesting idea. If you're driving the car, you look down 210 and psychs you out. I mean,
I gotta get a rush when I see the triple digits.
Yeah,
I think in today's cars, they just get mad, be like, I'm only going this.
They're soaring into turn one at Michigan, 190.
Yeah. I was going faster than the Xfinity car yesterday.
Yeah, that's funny. Rowdy 8 Diecast says, wish KFB could race the Lucas Oil car every week. It's a good looking car. He's also had some pretty good runs in that scheme. They just announced a 3-race deal, I believe, for this season. Blake says, happy to see NASCAR ads on TNT during the NCAA tournament. That's cool.
Yeah,
I've not seen those yet, but that's great that they're out there. It's pushing the good word. A few more here. Bobby Blair, this is fun. We are having fun in relations to our fun segments earlier. A little more fun this week than last week. Scrapyard says, another throwback I'd like to see is Logano with a scheme based on that of World of Outlaws legend Jack Haudenschild. Just like Logano, Haudenschild had Pennzoil as his sponsor and ran the 22. It would be cool to see. We have seen some sprint car inspired throw. Like Briscoe ran like a
every year.
yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to see another one, especially if the sponsor matches. I'd be down for that. Seems like something Pennzoil could get behind as well. I think they're doing the like IndyCar homage at Daytona shows that they're game to kind of cross over.
I think sometime I'd be interested if Kyle Larson would just do a throwback to that, that white 57 sprint car he's hopped in. Just make the font of his 5 look like that one and just be a white car.
That would be really interesting. I kind of like the idea of that. The problem is they keep killing it with these Terry Labonte throwbacks that I don't want them to change.
Yeah.
I think Logano could be around long enough to throw back to himself at this point. Like he was 18 in 2009.
Shoot.
Well, what should the cutoff for a throwback be? Because like last year, a lot of people loved the Dale Jr. one, and that was 10 years. Like is 10 years the cutoff?
The Jeff Gordon one that Byron's running is 10 years
10
old.
years.
Okay, so if we're gonna do if we're gonna do a 5 car, I know people don't like think of this as one of the most famous ones, but like Mark Martin's 2009 Neon Rocket, like that thing I remember being there at Chicagoland when they would do practice in the middle of the day in the sunlight, and it was blinding. I don't know what it was more blinding than the Paul Menard ones. I would love if they did that car.
It's same sponsors as what Casey Mears and Kyle Busch had, but the subtle design changes they did for Mark Martin with CarQuest and Kellogg's was just very good, and it just seemed to fit him. But also at some point, throwing back to one of the GoDaddy schemes of either Keselowski, Danica, Mark Martin, whoever, that would be a fun one too.
Maybe that's what Universe should have done instead.
Ooh, Ty Dillon should do that. Run the 10, same place in the field.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Same place in the field.
Jeez.
I mean, it'd be a blast from the past, man. Except he wouldn't probably crash it.
Alex left. Thank you for the 10. When Lake Speed was the random driver of the week, I should have gotten the chat to spam, wonderful spam. I'm not singing it. Well done. Good. Very clever. Will Griffin sent a couple super chats. Says, I first saw Chase's throwback on my phone and I instantly said, oh, cool. It's the Kodiak car. Also want to point out that Chase has had all kind of bad luck with penalties or being spun in turn 1, lap 1. Okay, we've got to look, you want to defend Chase Elliott on track? Valid. Fair enough. You can't defend that throwback scheme. I'm sorry. You can try.
Like,
you tried.
We could say it's still better than Stenhouse because at least, yes, I can tell there's something being attempted there.
Yes. But yes, to your point about Chase Elliott.
When the bar is Stenhouse, Tide Ride, Ricky Craven, that's very low.
Yeah. I mean, I respect the attempt of defending the throwback scheme. I mean, sure. I will give you that Chase Elliott's had a lot of bad luck this year. He finished 4th at Coda when he could have won that race if Chastain didn't happen. So that's a fair to point out. He also said, looked at Dover tickets last week. I called last year when I said moving to the summer would hurt attendance. Indoor seating is sold out, but outdoor isn't even half sold. Should have stayed in the spring because of temperatures. I feel like there is just no perfect place on the schedule. Yeah, there's no perfect place on the schedule for Dover because they've been plagued by bad weather in the spring. You're right. Summer at a concrete facility, going to be a little warm, going to be toasty. I don't know where you put Dover. It's just kind of in a tricky spot there, but hopefully they get a decent crowd.
Where isn't it going to be hot in the summer though?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking too. Like it's going to be hot literally every single place outside. Well, no, even Sonoma's going to be hot because it's a little bit inland. Yeah. You're not going to get that breeze. So yeah,
it's dry.
Like I'd get this if we put Phoenix in the summer, but like it's Dover, it's Delaware. Like okay, like I looked at Dover's climate when everyone was started talking about this stuff, and I'm like, oh look, it's the same temperature I went to all those races in Michigan and Joliet during the summer and Indianapolis. Like that's not bad, guys. This is stop being soft.
Kentucky was literally in July, and if anybody, I'm sure none of you have ever went to a Kentucky race for the Cup Series. It was brutal. It's the worst experience you could possibly have, but
it probably can compare to Nashville Super Speedway.
Yeah.
Those have been pretty rough.
100%. Yeah. It's not fun.
Not fun.
Well, I was at the Kansas. People forget that Kansas race with Noah Gragson and Ross Chastain's fight. It was like 100 degrees that whole weekend. And it was in May. Yeah, it was hot as hell.
Now the tempers make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he had that Dumb and Dumber haircut too. That made it that much better.
Stupid.
I just saw one of the main characters of Dumb and Dumber get socked in the face, and I'm gonna go and interview him and keep a straight face. And I'm just like, thank God when they caught me on TV, my face was behind my phone when I was recording, because I swear at one point his hair just started flapping up and down. I'm like, like you don't see it on TV, but when you're 3 feet away from the guy and he's like raging out, and you just see.
Brutal.
I'm sorry. It was just, I'll never forget that day.
Daniel Meredith Jr. says, I want Casey Kane to win the Xfinity race at Rockingham. I think a lot of people would love to see that. That'd be really cool to see him come back and triumph, or at least run really well. I think one of my predictions, Jarrett, was that he'd run top 5, which I feel good about that.
Well, and trucks, right? It's a truck race he's doing, right?
He's doing Xfinity.
He's doing Xfinity, okay.
In the 33 car. It's weird. It's an RCR car with Hendrick sponsorship, I believe. Yeah. Logan King says, listen on Spotify every week. This is my first time joining live. Great show, guys. Thank you, Logan. That's awesome. He sent that about 10 minutes ago. Welcome to the live show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Really do appreciate the support. Indy Carson, we're in the home stretch, folks. Can you explain to me how your point system for picking drivers works? How many points do you get per race? What points do you count? I don't know the exact numbers. Okay, well, I know it's based. Oh, wow. They had a whole graphic ready. What the heck?
Ready to go.
All right. Sorry for our listening audience, but it's based not on like where your driver finished in the field. We base it more off where your driver finished relative to the other panelists' drivers. So you could finish 15th, but if you were the second best finishing car of the panel's cars, you'd get second place points based on our system. There's bonuses for winning and sweeping the weekend, et cetera, et cetera. But
we used to have SRX bonuses back in the day, and then we do one special race a year is Indy 500. And it counts as like a cup race. Yeah,
we have like a little bonus. Yeah. Final 2 super chats here. Napa Racing Fan says, save the fairgrounds, better than the 5 F1 tracks. I think we all agree. And then Gavin wraps things up tonight saying, Elliot's throwback is so bad. Eric made a rankings video today just so he could say how bad it was. I did do that. I was just going to like talk about some of them. And I thought, no, let's do like a top 5 so I can put this one at 5 because it deserves it. Anyway, yes, that was a good times. Fun times. This was a fun time tonight doing another Wednesday night NWP. Want to give a huge shout out here to BrakeHard for spending over 2 hours of his Wednesday night with the 3 of us dealing with our technical issues. Man, it was really great to have you on the show tonight. We put your link to your channel down in the description below, but can you tell fans more about what you do day to day and what kind of content they can expect to find?
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate you guys having me on, first off. But yeah, so Eric does the YouTube side of things. I think I'm more on the TikTok side of things over here at BrakeHard on TikTok. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well, all at BrakeHard blog over there. But yeah, TikTok is kind of where my mainstay is, and then do some of the YouTube stuff as well. And yeah, just try to have some fun with it, make some jokes, recap some stuff, and hopefully meet more people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it was great to have you on the show tonight officially. I know you've been one of our most frequently requested guests that people have been asking about really since last year. I feel like it took a while for us to finally piece this together, but really glad you could join us tonight. We had a blast. Got a couple more super chats just dropped in here. Will asked, should we put Dover back in the playoffs? Shit, if they move Gateway to the playoffs, anything's possible, I guess, but I don't know. And then has Blaney a Moco throwback like his dad? Sorry, it's kind of typo here from Speedway Anywhere. Amico throwback. I don't know. He hasn't revealed his throwback for this year, but I mean, he's done Dave Blaney throwbacks in the past, right? Yeah. To like his sprint car stuff. Speaking of sprint car throwbacks. So cool. Well, no, that kind of derailed my outro there, but yes, really do appreciate Matt BrakeHard being on the show. Check him out on YouTube, TikTok, all social media platforms. Of course, you can find The Iceberg, Danny B Talks. Their YouTube links are down in the description below as well. Jarrett, where will we? You're thinking ahead of me.
I'm right ahead of you, man.
We will be on The Iceberg in 1 week, April 2nd, right after everyone's favorite holiday. This is no joke. We will be live at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hope to see you all there. We'll talk Martinsville, get y'all ready for actual throwback weekend at Darlington. Should be a good time. That's going to do it for tonight's show, everyone. Thanks again for hanging out. Appreciate the support. We'll talk to you again very, very soon.
Drivers, start your engine. 3, 2, 1. Right on, come on.
Get outside.
3 wide, you're 3 wide.
Unbelievable.
Where you playing? We're going. I like the aggression. Let me drop the green car. You can go to all those guys up there. They can suck it.
What we're about to do is not a good idea.
All good. What is he doing? You've got to be kidding me.
Half the pack is flying apart.
It's so nice to
See you at the line.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Jump. Coming right. You're low. Come back on him.
That